Okay. So I started the broadcast with a seasonal session on December 21st. It was good. Thanks for being on time. That is always helpful. Sorry about everything with Lucy. I don't know. We'll have to address that, but I just don't know what else to do as far as trying to get us all organized. All right. So does anyone help with policy keeping or facilitating? Lots of note taking. Albina, you're going to do timekeeping. You've been doing okay. Zulu, video indexing. We have video indexing for today. We started right at 4 o'clock.
10 p.m.
Exactly. Storytellers. I can help with the value tracking. Does anyone want to do any storytelling?
I will.
Albina, cool. And Albina, just we're probably going to want to create a storytelling doc. Each half year or something like that. But basically, just be a couple sentences, short paragraph. And it should be on a doc so that everyone can edit it together, so that we can have an accurate story. So that when it's sent out on social media and goes out to the public, that it is more or less correct. It doesn't need to be perfect, but it should be
one doc.
It should be more than one person. Yeah, sure. You could have one doc for each story for all the different sessions. It's just a place where we can edit it together before sending it out.
Okay. Should I create now?
Sure. Yeah, just like a storytelling doc. And then each story would have its own link. It'd be like a responsibility organizing link, except each session would have its own link for its story. So in that context, we can start improving upon them so that the correct information. It should be very neutral and just like basic information about what happened. Cool. All right, so we got our recording set up. We are video broadcasting. We have our agenda and documents, and now we're ready for check-ins. Zilu, you wanna start?
Yes. Today I'm in 6. Looking for and I was working on W8, W9 taxes, budget. Done.
Cool. Albina?
I'm 6. Looking forward for a good session. I've been working on worker involvement, client work coordination, and invoice tabulation for 61 degree.
Well, probably like a 6 as well. I have been, busy at work, obviously, and lots going on. I've been doing client work and also been doing a lot of, our transition and getting our new policy set up, and then also trying to get our finances back in order and organized. So we'll see how things evolve, but I'm glad we're all here for this seasonal session. This is our first management team meeting during a seasonal session. So check. It looks like we have Lucy. Lucy, would you like to check in?
Yes, all right, 6.
Do you want to let us know what you've been working on?
Source of coordination.
Also, since today is a management day, it might be good to go through our positions. So, for example, for me, my primary position is the center. So, do you guys each want to go through your primary position or positions? I'm also like a senior manager for New World. New World. So it should be like positions like, your primary positions like, co-chair or senior manager or, different coordinator and manager positions, budget manager, for example. Zilu, do you want to state your primary position?
So it should be for internal and external overall positions.
Like, what would your main manager or coordinator position be in relationship to the organization in terms of your role? Like, do you have a manager position or a coordinator position?
Yeah, I have it on schedule calendar.
You're also co-chair.
Okay, but let's definitely use the position though. So co-chair is a position, taxes is not a position, schedule and calendar is not a position. So schedule and calendar coordinator, that makes sense. Taxes coordinator, cool. All right, excellent. And Albina, you're just a co-chair?
Invoice tabulation coordinator.
I don't think invoice tabulation is a coordinator position. So invoice tabulation is under, well, I guess you could have invoice just be an invoice coordinator, but that would be coordinator of any and all invoices.
Okay.
But I don't think that you have that role.
Yeah.
So do you have any other coordinator position that you're doing?
Yes.
What's that?
Client work coordination.
Okay, client work coordinator. That sounds good. And so again, my positions are like centaur and senior manager for the New World team. Zilu could be a senior manager for New World team as well. And Albina and Lucy, you guys could be senior managers for Old World team. Lucy.
Coordinator.
Say again, Lucy.
Service provider coordinator.
Hard stop coordinator. Okay. Anything else? I would also put senior manager for New World, for Old World. Okay, so I think that we are good. But yeah, it's good to just have clarity on our positions, especially for the manager check-ins. Are you guys all in the middle of the night, like 2x?
Yes.
Yeah.
So let's note that down so that is clear. All right. What's next? Any other things for checking in? All right, so let's do our attendance. Let's do a few minutes late, which is fine. Okay, attendance looks good. Any questions on attendance? All right,
Just giving strikes.
All right, so let's do strikes. So this will be the seasonal session.
Yeah.
Everyone was invited. It looks like everybody responded, right?
Yes.
So that is very good. And we had Albina, Lucy, and myself were going to be on time or early. So Lucy was not on time. Was there any reason you weren't on time, Lucy? And then Zilu said he might be able to be here. So we don't have a lot of strikes. So Lucy, is there any reason that you were not on time?
I was on time. It just that I was loading. I was here by 2 minutes.
Okay, well let's just call this a warning then. So as we get more into our details, right? If someone's going to be on time or early, that means that if it takes your computer a couple minutes to load, then you want to actually, be planning on starting 5 minutes early or even 10 minutes early so that you have everything loaded and ready so that you're on time at the very beginning of the session. Okay, Lucy? So next time you would get a strike if you're 5 minutes late. Again, on your work report, you can say that you're working, 15 minutes early, if not even a whole half an hour, whatever you have to do to get ready for the session. But as far as actually being on the Hangout and being live in action, if you need to start early, you get a charge for that money for your work time, but that's not being on the session itself. Does that make sense? So we just want everyone to be online and on the session on time. And if you need extra time, like it took me a while to get everything set up and get the recording started. So I was working before the session and we'll be logging those hours, but that doesn't count. None of that time counts as session hours, right? The session doesn't start until the start time for the session. Does that make sense? Does everyone understand?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So I think we're done with the new world strikes. Could someone go through the old world strikes?
Yeah. Maybe.
And it says our next session is tomorrow for the full weekend. All right. So let's go on to rankings. Oh, Zilu?
Yes.
What's up? Do you have a question?
No. Yeah.
Any other question on the strikes?
No question.
And who's doing old world strikes?
I'm doing for the old world.
Okay, great. All right, so rankings. We still don't have our overall rankings particularly organized, so we might need to spend some more time on that. But we could estimate here. So, I mean, it's either option one is that we have myself, Albina, Lucy, Zilu, or option two would be myself, Zilu, Albina, Lucy. So I don't know which one it would be. Does anyone have any preference or idea? Oh, look, Abdul's here.
Hi, can you hear me, please?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you.
So obviously, Abdul would be ranked last. Yes?
Yeah, I shared my screen when I was trying to do the video indexing here. I'm clicking on the share button, but it's not on showing the link, not the times. So is there any other way? Just forward it.
Yeah, I mean, YouTube is definitely changing how it does its formatting, which is making it difficult. But you can just do it directly on the link. So if you copy that link there and you paste it on our session here, so it would be this question mark equals 10 minutes.
Right.
So I don't know, you can click on it and see if, well, actually you wouldn't be able to see if it would work or not, but it's either equals question mark or question mark equals, I can't remember. But you can just look at past sessions, okay?
Okay.
So this gives an example of what that it would look like, and then it should work. Okay, so let's have Abdul check it. Abdul, you want to check in?
Yeah. Okay. Hi everyone. I'm very happy to join this seminar session today, and I'm at 6.5 today.
Cool. And is it night for you as well, right? So let's put that in there. Do you want to, or are you interested in learning any manager positions?
Yes, I'm interested to do the manager's position.
Which one? Do you know which one?
Okay. So can you help me that which manager position is empty, so that I can take that manager position?
Most positions are empty because we have so few people, but also we have so many positions. So it's really about the priority positions. Like, before you were working on the budget coordination, you were supposed to be working on the client work coordination. You didn't do either of those, but you started on it a little bit. So it's up to you if you would want to get back into that. Otherwise, we can just put, that you're interested in manager position, but you're not sure which one.
Okay, so I'm interested for these two manager positions, budget orca code, client work, orca coordination, and then budget managers.
Okay, cool. So maybe we can do some more training on that today.
Okay.
We'll see. All right, cool. So let's keep going here. So for ranking, we need to get our overall rankings set up. But I don't know. It would be one of these two options. I just don't know because we don't have the rankings in front of us. Is everyone okay with option 1? Anyone object to option 1? Okay. So this will just be for today for option 1. But we do need to update our rankings. We're just behind and everything. We're on hard stop, so it's just not our top priority right now. All right. So let's go on to our value, and then we can move on.
Yeah.
So for value, we're doing our seasonal session. This session only happens 4 times a year. I think it's pretty exciting. Also,
is it management team?
This would be our management team. Yes, management team. And I don't think we've done any management. Oh no, we did a Mercury session down here. So see how we have Mercury session from the 116° west. So this would be our first and only management team session for the 70° east. There should only be 1 management session per quarter. Although every once in a while there might be 2, and then we might skip a quarter just because of the natural cycles sort of change. All right, so let's take a look. So Lucy was a few minutes late. And I think, let's get this all organized up. So our total hours works out to about, like, if we do 2 hours here today, I'm assuming we might do a little more, but I know it's late, so people might want to leave early. Does 2 hours sound good?
Yes, 2 hours.
Yeah.
Okay. 25.32. Okay, so I don't think this is added up correctly. So this needs to add Abdul. So it's going to go all the way down like that. Cool. And then this is going to be 100%. Perfect. So these would be our simple hours. This would be the basis for the value and equity in relationship to our our power. All right, so this is the power value. So we all basically have equal say and equal power because we're here and we're putting in effort. Money, on the other hand, is a little different. So Abdul, is your jurisdiction the same as everyone?
Yeah.
But if my jurisdiction then
So Zilu and Abdul, what were your hourly rates?
Mine was 2.8 maybe.
What is it?
2.77 for Zil.
And Abdul?
Abdul, let me check.
Okay, and these should be actual average pay. We need to do our HR and overall rankings for the actual average pay, which I believe is a soft hard stop priority, so we should get to that soon. All right, so we can get Abdul. Everyone is 2 except for me. So if you see here the equivalent hours, so the equivalent value minus your pay is $70. The equivalent
Abdul is 2.59.
2.59. All right. So you can see it's about $70 is the equivalent value of pay in relationship to your jurisdiction for the night, because you're getting double time, right? So everyone's supposed to be getting paid more money than they would otherwise. Although I think these calculations are incorrect, because my calculations always come out way, way off. So let's see, E2, what's E2 is the number of hours, right? E2, no, that's the total hours. Okay, so it should be D2, so I think that's the problem. So it's D2. There we go, that's better. So, perfect. Okay, so the total would be about $15, $13 to $15, and it equals a little bit more than 2 hours. And so we need to fix this equation on our previous spreadsheets, because it was using the total hours, which is 9 hours for all of us, as opposed to the actual number of hours per person. So that's why it was so off and so ridiculous, like $500 for me. It's like, you don't make $500 in a couple hours. So $100 makes sense for a few hours. And you can see here that you guys have as much as 3 hours for 2 hours. So even though you're working for 2 hours, you're getting almost 3 hours of value. And that's because you're getting paid for half of your total value based on the jurisdiction, and then you're getting the double time. Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. And this would all be part of back pay. And then over here, we've got our network equity, which we can add in.
Hello. Hello, everyone.
Is it?
Hey.
Is that Zonad? Oh, cool. Let's Zonad check in.
Hi, Abdul.
Do you want to check in, Zonad?
Yeah, I'm. Huh?
Yes, we
Hello?
can hear you. We can hear
Yeah,
you.
yeah. Yes, now I can hear.
Can you check in?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think I'm sick today. I'm pretty well and bit happy to join today. I think I wanna help on. That's why I'm new here. I have to learn.
And people you send a drop over the
Alvina.
Yes.
Oh,
Are you through with your check-in?
Well, no, he's definitely not done quite yet. We got to make sure we're getting all the right information. So thanks for being here, Zonad. I'm assuming it's also night for you as well. We're glad that you're here. The main question for you is what you've been working on.
I'm new actually, so I think I have to learn something to do something. That's why I need time.
Okay, so it sounds like your main focus is getting organized, and onboarding and training. You're certainly going to be wanting to learn the responsibility organizing process. And we're going beyond that. We're also doing our work organizing process. So we're going to be going over that today, okay?
Okay.
And then the other question for you is, are you interested in any management positions? Because today's a management session.
I wanna actually, as I'm new, I wanna help someone on this topic, like Abdul. Yeah.
Okay, so you would like to work more with Abdul. So yeah, that's perfectly fine. You're always welcome to schedule buddy teams with Abdul, and you can always help Abdul with his management positions, and then maybe over time you could learn them and then take them on yourself. Okay?
Yeah.
Great. All right. So that sounds like good. So let's finish up with our value distribution. So you can see here we've got quite a few people. If everyone stays on the session the whole time, this would be the breakdown, but usually people leave early or change different times, so it'll change a bit. But you can see we have the breakdown based on hours for our equity. So we're each getting about 10, 12%. And then you have the breakdown for the value. So for the actual seasonal session, every hour of time is worth 91.3105 hours. And so this becomes our network equity for the session. And so we're going to go ahead and do network equity real quick.
We are on our 30-second stretch.
Oh, yeah, let's do our 30-second stretch. So everyone stands up. We're going to stretch. Back. Okay. Thank you, Albina. And stretching and water breaks is all part of our wellness protocols to try to help us take care of ourselves, because sitting around for hours and hours can be too much. All right, so I did some updating to the network equity. So this is a little bit more detailed and a little bit more exciting, which is good. Basically, what you're going to see here is that there's just a lot more information. We're going to be doing our network equity monthly. Okay, so this is the 70° East month. And then after we do it monthly, we'll do a quarterly and a half-year one. But half-year is the biggest for now, although in the future we could do bigger. So if you here you have week 1, right? And then this is for the whole month, the overall equity for the month so far. Obviously, we're going to be adding in more people. We have Abdul and we have Zonad. So here for last week, Abdul and Zonad were 0. But what we can still do is add our normal hours. So the new moon session is worth 29.531 hours, right? So it lasts about 3 hours. So this is the biggest for week 1. So for week 1, it was worth 84.35 percent of the value of the week. But then if we look at the fortnight, so fortnight means 2 weeks, and then monthly means for the whole month, right? So if we add in the seasonal session, which we'll just do down here. Whoops. So for me, it's 182, and obviously it's going to change slightly. Lucy, 173. Zilu, 182. Abdul. Oops.
Bing.
Oh, thank you. Zona, and then over time, as you guys learn how to do this, so Jessica would be 0. Albina, so you guys can help with this over time, and then Zonad. All right. So you can see here that this is not adding up properly, so we're going to go through that. But for the 2 weeks, it could be as much as 88% of the value of the 2 weeks. So we're not going through the month yet because the 2 weeks is the same as the monthly. But this all still needs to be updated because we don't know if it's 100% correct yet. So I'm going to leave it. Let's make it, orange. But it's obviously a huge number of hours. Okay. So a couple of things happen here. One is that we want to double check that everything adds up correctly. So you take all of this and it's added up for the total. So this is the weekly subtotal. What's missing here is everyone's hours for the first week, right? So everyone should have hours for the first week, which would be their normal hours. So for normal hours, you get 1 hour per work hour. Whereas for 8th moon hours, you get 3.69. For new moon hours, you're getting 29.53. For seasonal hours, you're getting 91.311 hours. Okay? Does everyone understand how it works?
Yeah.
Cool. So we do need to add in the normal hours, and that can be easily done simply through our hours and pay. Okay, so from there, we would go ahead and make sure this all adds up correctly. So this is supposed to be S2 to S6, S2 to S, so she needs to go to S9. Right? And the same here with this one. Oh no, that works. S2 to S, I guess go to S10. So the way that you know that everything's worked out is that this needs to be 100%. So if it's 100%, it's green, right? And then this needs to be 0. So if this is zeroed out and this is 100%, then you know it's correct. So this one says 82%, so obviously you know that's wrong. This says 0, so that's good. So if this is 0, that means we have the correct number of hours and the correct percentages. So again, for the week, this seasonal session is worth 88% of the value for the week. 88.58% of the value, and then for the whole 2 week period, the fortnight, it's worth 88.81. Well, that doesn't work. That can't be right. So there's a couple other things you need to do here. This needs to be added up as well. So this would be equal to all of these percentages. And you see how that's 126%? So we know that's not correct. So let's start with these percentages up here. So if we add those, we get 0 and 0. So V6 times V6. Okay, so the reason that this isn't adding up correctly is that we do have some hidden values in here. And we just need to drag these down so that now it's 100%. So we just hide these calculations so that they don't make it look messy, and then we have 100%. So do you see how that works? Right, so we have it confirmed 100% and 0. It means everything added up and is logged correctly. Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah.
So now this looks correct. You know that this is 88%. Pause. All right, for a pause, we do 5-second pause.
Yeah, 5-second pause.
Okay, good. We're doing these pauses and our breaks and breaths and everything to remind us that we're not just all working machines, that we are human beings, and that we have to remember to take breaks. All right. So the last one here is making sure all of this adds up correctly. So we know that the total number of hours is going to be equal to this. So this is the fortnight hours, and I think we just need to drag it down like that. And then this needs to be dragged down. And because we're adding Abdul and Zonad. So I think that's the only problem, is that we just need to drag these down so that it all adds up correctly. So now this is 100%, so we can green that. You can get rid of all the calculations. So how this works is that, so I know this is a little bit more complicated before, but basically you do, here's your first week, right? And then you've got your second week. Oops. Here's your second week, and then here's your fortnight, or your 2 weeks, right? So this isn't applicable, but this will be, you see now this is now 100%. So that is correct. And which means that this is where 70% of the 2 week period. Does that make sense? So the new moon session was the number 2 in the 2 weeks, was we're 17%. And this session we're 70% of the value. And as we do more of this, we'll get better at it. This is still pretty new. Are there any questions? I think that's it. I think we went through it all, and all looks green. I guess the only thing missing here is the overall for Abdul and Zonad. Why would that not be correct? Oh, maybe it's coming out all the way over here. Maybe that. There, 100%. All right, so you can see here the breakdown per individual. And you can see how Jessica's has gone down considerably, whereas Lucy's has gone way up. But this looks correct to me. And then the only thing missing is the normal hours. So people need to add in their normal hours after we do the payroll each week. Okay?
Okay.
Are there any other questions on the network equity?
Okay, not question for now.
Cool. Cool. Awesome. So I'm glad we're spending the time to finally do this. We've been talking about network equity for a very, very long time. So it's good that we're finally doing it. And just to give you a reminder here, on the bottom here it has, like, so for this week, the value of this session is 88%. For the whole 2 weeks that we've gone through so far, it's about 70%. For the month, it should end up being about 18%. Right? So in this category here, we should end up with about 18%. We'll see. The reason for that is because the Earth session, which is coming up here is worth as much as 36% in the Venus session as well. So the Venus session, the Earth session are worth more than half of the value of the month, which is why something that's currently worth 70% for the first 2 weeks is going to go down to only 20%. So if you take the seasonal session plus the Venus session plus the Earth session, right? If you only attend those 3 sessions, you're going to get a pretty big number. Earth session's 18. So that'll be as much as 75% of all of the value for the month is in those 3 sessions. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And the primary reason for why we do that is that we're thinking about a global organization, a global network, right? People are busy, people are asleep during the middle of the night. Why would anyone get up in the middle of the night and try to build a global community if there's no value in it, right? So we don't, to connect globally, we don't need to be working together every single day, right? When we bring the public and get the public involved, you know, getting together on a few and far between is enough to connect our global community together. So we really want to prioritize these big sessions like the seasonal session, the Venus session, which the Venus session only happens once every 3 times a year. The Earth session happens twice a year. So it's just a few times coming together. Thanks. And so that's why we prioritize these sessions so much. Is because we really want to encourage the public and encourage people to come at these sessions, you know, so that we can work together and transform the world. All right, so I think that's it for value tracking. Any other details, any questions on value and equity? So let's go on to evaluations and prioritizations. We are on hard stop, so we don't need to do a lot on this. We could just also go to desired outcomes and topic review. What do you guys want to do? You guys want to do a full prioritization for the global management team, or do we feel like we know what we want to talk about? I feel like maybe that, you know, our prioritization from previous management is pretty organized.
So it will not for 70 degrees, it will be for 61. Okay.
Yeah. So I think we can use some of this for our existing priorities and not necessarily need to spend a lot of time re-voting and prioritizing. But unless someone wants to do that, I would propose that we move on. Are there any objections to going towards our desired outcomes and topic review?
Yeah, we move on.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because I remember at the last Mercury session, we spent a lot of time prioritizing all of this, and then we didn't really have a lot of time to get into it. So hopefully today we can get into it more. And let's also prioritize the positions that people have already. So for me, some of the desired outcomes that I would like to do is reviewing our work organizing processes.
5 seconds breath.
Oh, this will be 15 seconds. So this is going to be our breath. We do this at the quarter hours, at the 15 mark and the 45 mark. So we all exhale together. So everyone exhale. And then inhale together. And exhale together. So breathing helps relax us. It also helps connect us because we're all breathing together on the planet, even though we're separated. All right, any other desired outcomes? Yeah? What's up? No? Right. Yeah.
Reviewing positions. Is it positions?
Yeah, so review.
Can we review on work positions? Yeah.
And also position organizing.
Yeah.
Are there any particular positions that you want to focus on? So we could do general managing position, general manager position. And then we can also do specific positions if you want to. So I would like to spend.
And also the client work positions.
Okay, client work position, client work coordinator, right?
Yeah.
I think we should spend at least 5 to 10 minutes on overall communications, conflict issues to move that forward. Anything else that we want to go over? How's the budget coming along? Do we want to do that next time?
Oh, actually, we can view on budget also.
We do want to go over budget?
Oh, is it on voting form or just budget for the next month?
I don't know. Let's go over the budget manager position and we can coordinate all of that, okay?
Okay.
Client work for 10 minutes. Anything else? Let's look at our priorities from before. So here we had general position, staffing. That's a good one. Staffing positions. So this would be MBE staffing and plasma positions. Administrative, executive. Oh, I think another thing that would be good to go over if we have time would be virtual assistant versus designated work. Cool. Anything else? Systems, process coordinator, general manager, worker coordinator, websites, wall keeper, client relations. Recruitment, billing and invoice, budget, deadlines, hard stop, soft stop coordination. How about the hard stop? We could go over the hard stop. So super hard stop, and SS less. And then if we have time, we could do some co-chair. Co-chair
Worker
role.
involvement.
What?
Worker involvement, or is it because of the budget?
Worker.
Super team budget.
Super team budget?
Okay, worker involvement.
Well, so worker involvement would be under work coordination. So this would be work coordination. And worker involvement. Okay, and I don't think we have a work coordinator or worker coordination. But we'll see if we get to that. I don't know if we're going to get to that. Okay. All right.
Okay.
So are there any other topics or desired outcomes? Oh wait, we also want to do our overall communication and conflict issues. Where should we put that in? Maybe after budget or before budget? Maybe right here. So communications coordination, conflict, evolution, issues, etc. So let's spend 10 minutes on that. Okay, anything else? This is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we don't have any specific goals as far as our client work, but we are going to be reviewing client work coordination and how we do all of our client work. All right, any other topics? Oh,
I just want to know subsystem.
Sorry, say again, Lucy?
Subsystem.
Is it the same as
Can you
staffing
know?
position?
Soft stop, hard
No.
stop coordination?
No.
Staff system. She says staff system.
Okay, staff systems is right here. Staffing. I can't see it. Staffing positions. So this is MBE staffing and plasma. Is that what you're talking about, or you're talking about the super
And
staff
when work
system?
as staffing system, that's different.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Do you want to put that at the bottom or towards the top?
Oh,
Okay, so this is called self-resilient staff systems, and this is so it's basically a self-resiliency coordinator. There would be a coordinator position, coordinator. This coordinator position would also be, for example, working on getting me out of the organization, right? So it's like, how can we not be reliant on Jay? Right now, we're way too reliant on Jay to run the organization, and eventually everything should be able to run without me, including all the finances and everything, and the taxes, everything. Anyway, so let's do 5 to 10 minutes on this. And so the staffing systems are creating self-reliant staffing systems, which is very different than the staffing positions for MBE staffing and plasma. These are just totally different, but they're related. Okay.
5 seconds pause.
Okay, so any other topics anyone would like to bring up? Any other desired outcomes anyone has? Okay, so we're going to go ahead and approve these topics. Let's go on to our schedule. So we still have another hour left. Most likely we're going to go to 3 hours. Does anyone have any issues with going to 3 hours? Does anyone have to be gone at the 2 hour mark?
No issue.
So we maybe have like 1 to 1.5 hours left, and so maybe around like no later than 6:15
I have concerns.
to wrap up. Yes.
For Abdul and Jonathan, you are asking for the topic. I think that the right people that they should even ask what they want to know. Are they here to also help us to contribute to what they want to know, or they're just here just for listen? I think it is good. They've been away. They need to tell us if they need to focus on something or not.
Okay, so I mean, the things that are applicable to them is obviously the work organizing, the position organizing, general manager position. So all these first 3 topics are super important for them to get training on. From there, for Abdul, we had the budget manager position. And, you know, from there, let's hear from Zonad if he has any other things he's interested in. Zonad?
Yeah. Actually, I mean, I think I'm learning something, but I'm not certainly focused on any certain part. That's why I need help from Abdul. And I'm still learning from here, actually. I think.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like for you, Zonad, you know, you're still early enough that, you know, your onboarding and your basic responsibility organizing is, you know, is where you need to focus the most effort on. So it's very hard to learn a manager position when you don't even know how to do a single responsibility or single task, because manager positions by definition oversee multiple responsibilities. But it's still helpful for you being here, and even though you're not participating a lot. Abdul?
Yes, I think Junaid mentioned that he wants to assist someone for this manager positions.
Yeah.
How can he take a manager position when he doesn't even have a responsibility or a priority, even a single one? It's very hard for that.
Okay, well, let's add a little bit of responsibility organizing in here because we'll cover that within our work organizing processes, okay?
Okay.
Just to make sure we emphasize that because it's so important, especially for someone new like Zonad.
I don't think budget, Abdul, taking budget. Last time you take coordination for budget, you went silent as a manager. If I take responsibility for that, for the especially budget, you go silent. You don't even inform us. I think it is very important. Take something that cannot affect all of the organization. You can see budget is like everything. Something that follow all of us here. It's good when you take something, you take action. Last time you were told to be trained by Albina and Lucy, you went silent, you got lost. Sometimes also, even though you're going to take, I don't think there is anything improvement on that.
For the sake of now, like worker coordination, is it client work coordination? You assigned yourself, you went silent. That is the role I just took like yesterday. So there is progress on that. Again, you're saying you want to work on client work coordination. You just need to communicate, Abdul, so that we are not behind. We are not even doing any client work. Why? Because we don't have any manager for any client work. We are not organizing that. Just be communicative. If you take a role and you know you are going to be away, tell us.
I understand what you mentioned that about this position. Most problem is for my side is that I'm not communicated well. So from today, I really interested to continue our this community like that before. So from today, I must focus on the communication at least, and I think I can work again as before when I start this community. So I prepared myself. I prepared myself to join strongly. I joined in this community again. So that's why you know that last 2 or 3 months before, I don't join any session on midnight. So that's why today me and Durant join this session. Like that, we are very much interested to work again here. So I think that this is not happening next time that we don't communicate well. So most of me and Durant onto proper communication here, like that if we are not available on week 1 or 2 days, then we have communicate first on Skype. So that's why it's not happening like before 1 or 2 months. Like that, me and Junaid on budget 2 or 3 months, but we're not working well. So from this month or from this week, we're on to all every weeks and even every single day.
Okay, well, thanks, Abdul. We're glad that you're interested in getting back involved. Let's go ahead and move on. I feel like the best place to address all this is during our communications issues, which would include people taking on work and then not following through with the work, including manager positions, disagreements, bad communication, the fear. The New World schedule has some issues. So there's just general issues that we need to be addressing and make sure they don't fall through the cracks. So let's keep that up. And the communications coordinator, which actually is a executive position, would be involved in some of making sure that our communication systems are functional, including our conflict evolution. So, Lucy, does that answer your question?
Yeah, we are at the top of the hour. Can we take a break?
Okay. So, Lucy, did that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So when we get back from the break, we still need to finish going over our schedule review.
Yeah.
Our goal is to start wrap up around 16, so it's a bit about an hour. It gives us an hour and 15 minutes. Maybe you could say an hour and a half. And then we're going to start wrapping up. So we're going to review our schedule, see if we have any new proposals, any other staffing issues. And then we're going to get started on reviewing all of our topics, 1 minute each. Okay, so 5-minute break, and then we'll come back and we'll get into those goals.
Okay.
Cool.
Back.
Back on. Back.
All right. So let's get started again. I think we're probably about at ping. So the next global session is the full moon.
Okay, I'm back now.
Okay. It's in about 24 or 25 hours. And there we have the Recruitment Commission. So this would be the Outreach and Recruitment Commission. The Outreach and Recruitment Commission is going to become more and more important in the organization. For you, Zonab and Abdul, that could be a really good place and time to get involved. Overall, in the future, every new recruit is going to be required to work in the Recruitment Commission for 2 recruitment rounds, right? So basically, we have an open invitation to all existing workers who are not that involved to come into the Recruitment Commission and get involved directly. If you'd like to do that, just let us know. It's an open invitation. And you can do that during hard stop.
I'm going to be part regularly from now on.
Cool.
Yeah.
So be sure to write us on Skype. So to put it in writing so that we can add you to all the correct Skype groups. And then also there's a bunch of email lists and talk to Zilu. Zilu is our commissioner for recruitment, or recruitment commissioner.
Okay.
Oh, that's also a position that you can add for yourself, Zilu, is you're technically a recruitment commissioner. All right, so from there we have 8th moon Venus Perilion. This is going to be a really big session. Last quarter moon, and then we've got the Earth session. So the Earth session, also a very big session. We're not ready for either of those as far as public, but we're still going to do them. And Venus is executive, so we were going to go over executive positions, and hopefully we can get our executive level more organized. Also at the Venus position, Venus Perilion, one important responsibility for preparing for that session is decision-making docs. So we'd want to log every decision made since the previous Venus session. Okay?
Okay.
So we always want to log, and then we're supposed to review, during the Venus session, we're supposed to review all of our decisions and actually decide if they're correct decisions. The Earth session is going to be more of like a council meeting. So this is more just like, we would also review decisions, but more focused on the future projection and goals. Policy goals. These are policy goals. All right, so I think that's it for the schedule. Any questions about our schedule?
No question there.
All right. Proposals. Do we have any proposals? We could just push the proposals to quarter moon session tomorrow.
Full moon.
The full moon, yeah.
We need to review our proposals. I don't know whether proposing long time ago for policy. If someone goes for 2 weeks consecutive without communication, we remove that person. We need to review that.
Okay, so what happened was that the people who are not communicating, we proposed them to be cut from the budget. We voted on it, and it was voted to not cut them from the budget at this time. So the proposal to cut them from the budget did not pass. So we need to continue to propose people.
Policy, I think we have as a policy for 2 weeks. If somebody is not communicating for 2 weeks, I think I remember we have as a policy.
Yeah, the policy is that everyone automatically gets proposed to be cut from the budget, right? But we still have to pass the proposal to cut people from the budget. So another thing that's applicable to that is we can go to policy keeping here. I do really bad at policy keeping, by the way. One of these days we should get other people helping with policy keeping. But basically there's a policy that for worker involvement, both Abdul and Zonad are currently not qualified, right, Albina?
Also,
Yeah.
Teresa.
So
Yeah, Teresa.
and Teresa and
Teresa Mamu.
and Mamu. Yeah, so Abdul, Zonad, Teresa, and Mamu. So Abdul and Zonad, your number one priority is going to be getting qualified, and you're going to want to work with Albina to make sure that your schedule is updated, your responsibilities are clear and organized, that we know what you're working on, because that is required for being qualified, so that you're able to work. Otherwise, I mean, we're happy that you're here. We're going to allow you to stay for as long as you know we all agree to. But we could all just vote and be like, you know, you're not allowed to be here because you haven't met the qualifications. Okay?
Okay.
So right now, where we are as an organization is we need to be focusing on recruitment and bringing people into the organization as opposed to kicking people out. But either way, you guys can't just go work. You have to actually meet the criteria and get qualified for being a paid worker. Otherwise, you really shouldn't be doing anything except for that at this time. Okay, but either way, we want you to be here to get the training and to learn what you need to do. But this is really important, so you need to check in with Albina. Okay.
Okay.
All right, Lucy. Anything else as far as proposals?
No.
No. Cool. So I mean, I think we have the policies. I think we're gonna want to push proposal review to full moon. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so if we had any specific proposals for management, we would address them here, but since they're not management proposals, as far as I know, we can move on. MBE staffing and Plasmo. We have the async staffing accountability doc. That's great. So we're gonna go in over MBC staffing and Plasma if we have time today, which will be right here, staffing positions, MBE staffing and Plasma. Okay. So let's just move on from that. Any other questions about proposals or Plasma, MBE, anything?
Just a reminder, people did not vote for the proposal from last quarter. Please kindly do it so that we also review the results tomorrow.
Out a last reminder for quarter moon voting before full moon. So basically send that out on the Jella team. You know, give everyone one last time to vote. If they don't vote, then we just take whoever did vote. Okay?
Yes.
Are you gonna do that, Albina?
Yeah.
All right. So I think we are ready to move on to our first full topic, which is our group team setup priorities planning. So we are going to go through all of our top priorities. Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right. So the first is work organizing processes. We're going to spend at least 10 minutes on this. So what is important to understand for work organizing is that work organizing is a variety of processes that help get all of our work organized. The most important of which is obviously responsibility organizing. We're also going to be introducing and learning about priority organizing and also position organizing. But there's also process organizing. There is, you know, team organizing. There is worker organizing. There is lots of layers and levels of organizing. Okay. So there's probably about 13 to 20 or 13 or to 15 different types of work organizing processes. Each one helps us organize our work. Okay. It might be good to quickly check to see which I believe this would go under worker coordination, or it would go under processes. I think we have a process, systems and processes doc, right? Systems and processes. So this also obviously would be part of worker coordination because it has to do with work. But I believe it also would be here. I don't see anything though. New policy proposal. All right, so obviously we need to get much more organized. Policy, work session policy, session vacation. I don't see it. Let's try one more. So we're gonna go to work coordination, worker coordination. Worker coordination doc is like one of our most messy, crazy docs.
Ping.
Thank you. All right, well, it's unfortunate, like, that I can't find it. Work organizing. Nothing. All right, so anyways, we need to find that. Let's add that as a task. Oh, wait, I forgot, we're only doing 1 minute each. Damn. All right, whoever is doing time, remember I was getting into our 10-minute here, but this is only 1 minute. I forgot.
Okay.
So anyways, we'll come back to this. We're gonna go over more details of work organizing, but let's make sure we have a task is to find the work organizing doc. There should be a doc there where we want to index this all. Okay, so anyways, let's move on to the next one. The next is position organizing. So the primary difference of position organizing is that when you do position organizing, that basically you're going to have multiple priorities, multiple goals, multiple responsibilities, and you may be managing and overseeing other workers who are helping do the work. So most manager positions do not have to do the work themselves, okay? So
30 seconds remaining.
Yeah, thanks. So the position organizing is similar to worker organizing. So for a general, so worker organizing is similar, where you have your priorities, your goals, your responsibilities, right? Some of the difference between your worker organizing would be that you have your schedule, right? Workers have their availability and scheduling. So positions, for example, with the budget would have like a timeline, right? So you oversee a timeline of timelines and deadlines that the position is overseeing, whereas a worker is more viewing their availability and scheduling. Okay, does that make sense?
A minute is over.
Yeah, but position organizing is very similar to responsibility organizing and other models. All right, what's next? General manager position. So let's go ahead and link the general manager position doc. Also, we're gonna want to create like a manager async doc. Where we would link all of this, link all of these positions. Okay, so general manager position. Do we have the link to the general manager position doc? What is the #1 most important thing that managers do? besides obviously position organizing? So obviously the first one is that managers don't do the work, right? So as a manager, you don't need to do work. Anyone should be able to do to be a manager easily and quickly. Additionally, the easiest manager position is a client manager, especially a internal client manager.
30 seconds.
So what's the most important thing that a manager does?
To assign responsibilities.
No, it's more of like just to list responsibilities. So list priorities, list responsibilities, and then notify everyone of what needs to get done, and then report back on what is and is not happening. Right?
Right.
Yeah.
So again, managers are not responsible for getting the work done. What they are responsible for is telling everybody what needs to get done and reporting back on what is and is not getting done.
A minute is over.
So this is the most important part of a manager position. And so we'll go over more of the reporting hopefully later on. We forgot to do that. All right, next. Communications. So for the communications, we're not going to really go over the communications position because that is extremely complicated. But we do want to address these issues. So we should be listing issues. So we need, wait, what happened to the heading? Huh. Someone deleted the heading. That back in there. So one thing we need to do is we feel like we should, maybe create a issues doc, so that as issues happen, that we can go ahead and document them and address them asynchronously, as well as bringing them up during our sessions. So right now we have people taking on work and then not following through. That is obviously an issue. We have disagreements, bad communication on Skypes, which is obviously an issue. People fearing J, I don't totally understand that, but that obviously is an issue that needs to be addressed. The New World schedule has some problems and issues there. Are there any other issues that anyone can think about that need to be addressed? People not understanding work organizing and being organized. So that is an issue. So basically, we need to prioritize issues and making sure we're addressing issues before they become bigger problems.
30 seconds.
Whereas most of our time is spent just doing normal work training and work activities. But whenever we get upset, whenever, this is for when people get upset, concerned, worried, etc., etc. Okay? Other things that I think overall issues is, not following through on recruitment or being on the same page. So maybe we'll do a round. And there's also, funding / client / other issues related to money. So sometimes our budgeting can be an issue. People not getting paid enough. Also, we have our 5X. This is another thing that hopefully we can get to as well, would be our 5X calculation. All right, let's move on. Any other issues? Anyone have any other issues that they can think of? Issues.
Client work coordination position.
The client work coordinator position is not an issue. That would be a topic. Do you see the difference?
Yeah, it's topic and rules.
So the question is, what is the problem with the client work coordination? Can you think of anything?
No, it's a topic. It's a priority.
Yeah. So priorities, again, priorities aren't issues. Issues are something where someone's upset, concerned, worried, right? This is not a topic or a priority. It's more of something that gets in the way of our priorities and focus work. Does that make sense? So the reason why we prioritize issues is because if we don't address our issues, it prevents us from getting focused on our priorities, right? So none of us like issues, and so therefore we tend to push them away. When it's as a team, it's better for us to focus on the issues, address them quickly and effectively, and then move on. Okay? So let's start keeping track of our issues, and hopefully we can address them quicker and more efficiently in the future. Okay, and that would be one of the roles of the work of the communication, right? All right, budget manager position. So I believe
we need an active manager.
Say again?
We need an active manager that can help.
Yes. So, so need an active budget manager to oversee budget. Super important.
Also, someone who understands the budget, the deadline, all that.
Also, we have super team budgets. We need to get our super team budgets passed. I believe we're going to focus this at the full moon. Will be a good time to focus on super team budgets and see what does and doesn't pass. Because we do want our super team budgets to be balanced and organized. I think overall our normal monthly budget is pretty organized. But we also have, so we have our normal, so we have three budgets. One is the monthly budget, our normal budget, and it's pretty good status. We've got our super team budgets, which also are monthly, and this is bad status. And then we have our quarterly budgets, which we want to try to bring in. So we're adding this, and this is new. Okay?
We are at the bottom of the second hour, 30 seconds stretch.
30-second stretch. All right, so let's do our 30-second stretch, and then we're going to come back. Let's see how many more of these we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I don't know if we're going to get through all of these, but let's try to maybe do the last ones for 30 seconds each. So maybe 30 seconds each to get through them quicker, okay? Okay, stretch. Everyone stand up. Stretch. All right. So what do you guys think about trying to do 15 seconds on each of these last ones?
Pardon?
What do you think about just doing 15 seconds on each of these last ones? I mean, not 15, but 30 seconds. 30 seconds.
Fine.
Okay, so can anybody, can you do 15 seconds and then 30 seconds? Can you do that?
On every topic?
Yeah.
Okay.
So for the self-resiliency, this is a new project. Our staff systems have 6 primary systems that all culminate with recruitment. So our super staff system is focused on recruitment, and then training everyone on how to do all 6 primary staff systems. This will allow each and every worker to self-function as much as possible. So the goal is that these 6 primary systems will be more or less self-functioning. That includes payroll, as well as some of the training and onboarding and recruitment, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, are there any questions about, or any other things to add for staff systems? And this is client work, right? Setting up the staff systems is client work.
15 seconds are over.
Okay, I think we're good on that one. Staffing positions, MBE, staffing plasma. So the most important thing to understand about this is that we have something called a decision-making body. A decision-making body, so this would be a vocabulary term, is a group of people within a organizational or network structure that have decision-making authority over certain powers. Okay? So every single decision-making body has staff. So as an example, right, you have membership staff, you have shareholder staff for like a corporation, and then typically you have board staff because they appoint a board, and you have executive staff because they appoint executives, right? So every single level of an organization has its own staff. We also have legion staff, which is one of the most important staff positions in the organization, or in our network, because we're a legion-based network. And a legion-based organization. So do you guys understand the idea of the staffing positions? So the staffing positions themselves will specifically address the needs of the decision-making bodies and the empowered individuals within each of those.
15 seconds are over.
Okay, does everyone understand?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else to add to this? And plasma would be one of the types of support systems, right? So there is there's guiding, right? There's 3 kinds of staffing. There's general staffing, there's guiding staff, and then there is accountability staff. Although usually we call accountability staff commissioners. So usually the accountability staff, we call them commissioners just because they have other powers. All right. Virtual assistant versus designated work. This is very important. Does anyone want to try to describe the difference between virtual assistant and designated work? Does anyone know?
Virtual assistant should be the real-time work with someone, administrator, and the delegated work should be work we already assigned for to do. And we can do by ourselves.
Okay, so self-driven assigned responsibilities you do by yourself, right?
Yeah.
So So this is something you do by yourself on your own time, etc., etc., etc. So you had the virtual assistant. So virtual assistant is real-time work, but it's specifically with me, with Jay, or other executives, etc., right? Executives / administrators. So there's virtual administrative assistants. There's virtual executive assistants, right? So there's different types of virtual assistant work. During virtual assistant work, you are supporting the executive or administrator to be as focused as possible. So in this context, the admin or executive is choosing
15 seconds are over.
what the priority is. Okay, so you're supporting that person. In designated work is like normal buddy teams do designated work. Typically is an assigned responsibility, and you follow the steps yourself to address the goals. Okay, so it's very, very different. I'll try to explain more later, but let's take a pause. 5-second pause.
Yeah.
Is there anything anyone else would want to say about this? Because it's really important to understand it. And then we're going to move on. Like during buddy teams, you do your work and you follow your responsibilities. Virtual assistant work is not taking on a separate responsibility. Do you guys understand that or not?
AJ, understand.
No.
So you are doing the work yourself. All right, during a scheduled buddy team. So virtual assistant work is you're supporting the executive and the administrator to do the work. This is very, very important as well, and we need more of this, that people don't seem to understand what virtual administrative and executive assistance is in our relationship to the network. So hopefully we can get that organized. All right.
Can you move, please?
Super hard stop. So we are currently on super hard stop. So link super hard stop doc. Overall, we're pretty good status here. Overall, we are on pretty good status with having it all organized. So, this was one of our primary hard stops. We got through it. The super hard stop doc very clearly describes everything that needs to get done. Is there anything you want to add, Lucy?
Yes, I will add.
What do you want to add? Lucy?
Yes, I'm adding.
Okay.
I'm just trying to get it.
Is there anything else you want to say to the group about
What you adding?
the soft stop, hard stop coordinator position and the super hard stop? So we still need to get a little more organized here. Primarily, we need to have clear assignments for each person and what they are accomplishing. And then from there to do the work organizing process, which we're going to go through in more detail. Responsibility organizing.
We also need people to assign the challenge that we have on super hard stop. We need also people to have assigned to the work. That is, we just come up with a super hard stop because on a service stop, hard stop, no one is really assigning, not many people assign their responsibility. I think also the challenge is we are very few, not all of us are working. If at least 5 of us like we are now, 6 of us, we can move on. That's the bigger challenge.
Cool, and let's also make sure that it's clear that super hard stop does require some training, right? But we have so much work to do. We're so behind. that we can't complete it all with just the people who know it, that we might need to do some training to help to train new people to help with some of the hard stop priorities. Okay. So let's move on. Co-chair. Anyone want to go through the co-chair goals, questions, issues? So the co-chair meets on 8 noon sessions.
If someone is a co-chair, they need to step up. See, Albina is also going to step up because already finished 6 weeks. Whoever is going to be elected, please just make sure you step up and do the work. You don't say I'm going to be a co-chair and in a really sense you're not going to make it. I remember when you asked Abdul online when he was elected, he said, yes, I'm going to work fully. Remember fully? He didn't even say I'm not going to be available. It's a challenge.
Okay, so maybe one question is like, how do we hold co-chairs accountable? And then maybe if a co-chair doesn't work out, we should have an automated process to appoint the next highest ranked individual. Okay. So that might help solve that particular problem. So co-chairs do 8th moon sessions. We have some new policies where you need to do weekly goals, and then you also do twice per month reports. So co-chairs need to start doing twice per month reporting, and then you do your weekly goals. It's very simple. You make your weekly goals. So you list your goals for the week, and then twice per month, you report on which goals you accomplished and what you didn't. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And your goals should be sent to everyone. We'll get better at this over the next couple months. We'll just keep pushing for reporting and goals.
30 seconds are over.
Anything else on the co-chair? All right, let's move on to worker coordination. Anything on worker coordination?
How far are we on Aristophora? We need to know. And what role are not getting out of that house?
So the primary issues, I believe, are on super team verification. So the super team scheduling, the super team budget are issues, right? Because they're just not updated and organized. So, but either way, we're really close. I would say that we're in the green, so it's like 80%. You know, so it is green. So we're not super worried about it, but we have other things that are obviously red. Any other questions on that, or any other additions to that?
5-second breath.
15 seconds.
15 seconds.
So everyone's gonna exhale, and then everyone's gonna inhale together, and then everyone's gonna exhale together. All right, thank you, Albina, for doing so good on the timekeeping. Okay, so worker coordination. Anything else on the worker coordination and worker involvement? I just want to add something for next time. We are going to be adding requirements for not only a list of responsibilities and priorities. So currently everyone's required to have a list of responsibilities and priorities, but we are now going to be checking to make sure every responsibility has a responsibility organizing link, and that the responsibility organizing has clear goal, steps, and what needs to be accomplished. Okay? So basically, you actually have to be organized as a worker. It's not enough to just say, oh, I'm working on this. It's like, okay, well, we want to see when we click on the link that you actually created a responsibility organizing link, that you have a clear goal, and you have steps for what you're actually doing. That is required, okay? If you don't have that, you need to be asking questions, right? So example questions would be like, what is the next step for X responsibility? How do I create a responsibility organizing link? How
15 seconds are over.
How do I create a goal, etc., etc. Okay, so ask questions if you aren't sure. All right.
Okay.
Overall rankings. Anything else for worker coordination involvement? Overall rankings. So overall rankings include the actual average pay and HR rankings. Okay, so this is going to be a soft stop, hard stop, I believe monthly. So we're going to need to get this updated soon. The next is going to be our co-chair elections are going to rank all workers. And then we're just going to average the HR ranking and the elections, which will equal our overall rankings. Okay, so that's the easiest, fastest way to do our rankings for now. But it's good to note that the center and co-chairs and senior managers can change the overall ranking calculations at any time. Okay. So let's get the overall rankings updated and completed. We could schedule that. We could do that. It shouldn't be that hard. Management report. So we did our, any questions or any additions for overall rankings? All right, so for the management report, we require management report every Mercury session in the past, and now we're switching to seasonal sessions. So we're just going to use our old management report. So what we need to do here is we're going to update this. This is going to be the 61° west and 70° east management report. So we also want to put today's date, which is 15/1/7. So Friday, December 21st. Okay. And this would be the Mercury. This is Mercury session, and this was the seasonal session. So we can note here overall that we have decided to switch our management team sessions from Mercury to seasonal, and so this report is our first seasonal report as well.
15 seconds are over.
So really quickly, there's some problems here. One is that we need the average, okay? We need the average. Also, not all co-chairs reported. That's a problem, right? You should be, whatever your primary position is, that should be your main report, okay?
So everyone report, we can make the average.
Yeah, so we want to make sure that the report is reporting on all of the positions. If there's a position that no one takes and no one's doing, I would just say delete it. It's like, let's not worry about it. Okay, and we'll just report on the positions that we know. We can still do a score summary for positions or for work that we know is happening, right? Okay, so let's just organize it. Let's make it so that it's presentable. Tactical coordinator, the question is who? Let's put your name. So please add your name.
Okay.
And let's get this all organized. From there, we need to add it to So we need to add, this is a task, add our management reports to the soft stop / hard stop deadlines. So we need to create a deadline, maybe 1 month after the seasonal session, for example. But the point is that there needs to be a deadline. So this needs to be verified, right? Need verification that the reporting is completed. Also, managers who don't report will automatically be on hard stop, right?
Push.
Well, thank you, Albina. So managers that don't even report anything are automatically on hard stop. So there's going to be at least 2 soft stop, hard stop deadlines, right? There's one is for each manager to do a report, and then the second is for the report itself to be verified and completed. Okay, that makes sense?
Yeah.
So let's make sure that gets updated. Also, there will be, when we're doing soft stop, hard stop updating, we're going to need to put for every single session. So there's the executive reporting and all the other different types of reporting and goals. So all goals and reports need to be added to soft stop, hard stop deadline. Also, we'll be doing goals. So in the report, in future reports, we also are adding our manager goals, right? So we have our goals for the next season and our report from the previous season all together. Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah. A minute is over on that.
Okay. So 5x calculations. I think this is important. So I need the link to the original, not necessarily original, but to the actual calculations for the 3.5x. So Albina, you should have that. If you can get me that, that would be really helpful. And we need to review and evaluate and make sure the calculations are correct. We may be proposing going from 5x to 6x if the calculations are not correct and have more funds for super teams. So we want to make sure that the calculations are correct, that there should be enough funds for each of the super teams to function. So right now that is in question. So this is a top priority for sure, and would be part of our, just fundamental systems. So I'm not sure exactly where it fits in. Maybe it fits into the budget. We can put this on a budget. Okay. All right. So I think we finished everything. Anything else that anyone wants to bring up? Okay. So I think for now we're going to go back into our work organizing processes and go over that in more detail. Okay. Is there anything else? Are you guys ready to go to the next topic?
Yes.
All right, so let's go into work and organizing. Let's change this to header 3 now, and we're going to spend 10 minutes on this. So let's do this, and then we're going to take a 5-minute break, okay?
Yeah.
Although if we go over, then we're going to take a break. We'll come back and do more on work organizing. So we haven't found the work organizing doc, so we may need to create a new one. Can always link them together in the future. So we would link the work organizing doc to processes and systems. Oh, you know, it might actually be under methods. Remember that this could also be considered a method. So let me just check real quick and see if it's under methods or methodology. Methods for organizing. And I want to remind people, never say someone else is going to deal with it. That is super important. We all deal with it as a team. We're all responsible for everything. You just like make sure the work gets completed. All right, so this is another messy document that needs to be organized, headed correctly. Like, so the heading shouldn't be new moon. The heading should be, you know, what is the discussion, what is being discussed, so that it's clear. All right, anyways, I don't see it. Let's just move on. So again, let's link it to process systems, methodology doc, and worker coordination. Okay. Does everyone understand?
Yeah.
So you want to create a work organizing processes doc, and then link it to processes and systems, methods, and work coordination. Okay, so what is work organizing? Who wants to go over it? What is work organizing? Can someone describe what we went over already for work organizing?
Work organizing it to be first a priority that need to be organized, then the responsibilities under the priority, the positions, the tasks.
Can you say it again?
To do the work organizing, we need a priority first, and then the responsibilities under the priority, the positions, and then the tasks that need to be organized with the responsibility.
Okay, so I think what you're getting more focused more into like the worker organizing. To get each worker organized, they need to have their priorities, their goals, and their responsibilities, right? But work organizing is bigger than just a single worker. Work organizing involves the priority, responsibility, position organizing, but it also can be like octant organizing, right? You can organize an entire octant, or a team. So you have like team organizing, right? Team organizing and team setup. Or there's also organization organizing, right? So in that, or corporate organizing. So in that context, there's many different layers and levels of organization to get work done. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Do you guys understand?
Yes, I understand.
Okay, cool. So what we're going to be focusing on here is priority organizing, responsibility organizing, and then eventually we'll get to task organizing, which is also important. So, and this is about getting workers organized, and these are our methods and processes, right? So the first thing, so getting workers organized. So the first thing is that everyone needs to have clear priorities. Does everyone understand what a priority is? Anyone want to describe a priority? Priority, come on. Hello, are you guys there?
Yes.
What is a priority?
Priority is the top something that we are choosing to focus on.
Okay, so it's I would say it's like a topic, a phrase, a vocabulary term that categorizes work or information. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And anything can be a priority. What the most important thing about priorities is that priorities are not work. Priorities are categories of work or information. You all understand? So is it possible for someone to work on recruitment? Is it possible for someone to work on recruitment?
Are you asking a question or?
Yes, I'm asking a question. Is it possible for someone to work on recruitment?
Yes.
No,
No.
no. Recruitment has various priorities.
Yeah, so recruitment has dozens and dozens of priorities and responsibilities under it. Recruitment is a category, it's a priority, it is not something you can work on. Right? So it's too broad. If you say, I'm going to go work on recruitment, we have no idea what you're working on. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? It's not acceptable to be working on a priority. You need to be working on a specific responsibility. So what happens is that if you're doing priority organizing, you can tell someone that you are organizing your priorities. That is a task. Okay? So if we think about task organizing, you have a task of organizing your priorities, right? So what would that be involved? It would be listing the responsibilities and goals of that priority so that you're organized. And then the first thing you would do is you would choose. It shouldn't take you very long to get organized, to get your priority organized. It should only take a few minutes. Right? Unless you have a really complicated priority. If you're not sure how to organize your priority, you need to start asking questions. Questions you could ask are, what are the responsibilities within this priority? Or are these the correct responsibilities, right? So there is a skill in listing responsibilities, but we can go through that in a minute. So I think we're going to take a break here, but let's finish this section. And then when we come back, we'll go through the more detailed process. But basically, all I want you to understand now is you create a priority. The first thing that you need to understand about your priority is you understand what the goal is of the priority, and then whether or not your priority is client work, in which case you need to do client work organizing or some sort of client setup, or if your priority is a manager or coordination position, in which case you need to do position organizing, right? So everyone does priority organizing. If your priority happens to be client work, you need to do client work organizing your client setup. If your priority is a manager or coordinator position, then you need to do position organizing. Position organizing and client organizing are basically the same thing as priority organizing. There's very, very little difference in them except for the steps, right? There's more steps in setting up a client and setting up a position to be organized. But either way, what you do with your priority is you organize your goals, you plan for your priority, and you list the responsibilities, right? So every priority is going to have responsibilities. Then you get into responsibility organizing. You got to choose your responsibility and focus on responsibility organizing and get your responsibility set up. Okay?
Yeah.
So this is a task. Everybody needs to have priorities. Everyone needs to get their priorities organized, which basically means listing and choosing responsibilities. Okay, so it's very easy to get a priority. For example, recruitment. Everyone understands and knows recruitment. It is not work. It is just a priority. So you got to organize your priority to understand what the goal for the current goal for recruitment is, what the responsibilities under that goal are, and then choose a responsibility and then get focused on organizing the responsibilities so that you can get to work. All right?
Yeah.
So when we come back, we're going to go over the details of that because we have a very specific detailed process that I think will help everybody. So let's take a 5-minute break and we'll come back, go over the details. We could do a little more position organizing and general manager organizing and make sure we answer people's questions about their position. And then maybe we can wrap up. We'll see how much time we have for more, but we'll just see. And do we lose someone? Who did we lose? Zilu? I think we lost Zilu.
Zilu left.
All right, let's take a 5-minute break.
Okay. I'm back.
All right.
Back.
Okay, so let's go through the worker organizing methods and process and see if this can help get us organized and together. And we'll go from there. So we already went through the overall concept of getting organized as a worker, but I'm going to break it down to like exact step-by-step processes, and hopefully this can help us. So the first thing you do is you choose and organize your priorities. The first part of choosing and organizing your priorities is to prioritize your priorities, right? So it's not enough just to make a list of what you want to work on. You actually need to say, okay, this is the top priority. This is the second top priority. So you want to prioritize your priorities. Otherwise, they're not actually priorities. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Our global core team and each octant team and super team should be making priorities as well. So there's a lot of ways to find priorities. So if you go through all of our responsibly organizing and other training, you should find all of the priorities. The next thing to do is to choose one priority. It is very, very important to focus on one thing at a time. We can have hundreds of priorities, right? But we can only work on one at a time. That's the only way to get everything completed correctly and efficiently and effectively. And you prioritize the most important thing, and then you work on the top priority, and then you complete it, and then you work on the next priority after that, okay? And priorities do change. You could start working on one priority, and then the next day or a week later, you haven't completed it yet, but another priority has taken over. That's also perfectly fine. But at any one moment, there should be a top priority, so you choose one. The next step is that you get your priority approved. What does that mean? You want to explain what it means to get your priority approved?
To inform the team on the priority you chose.
Yes, yeah. But let's say you have, okay, so if you're a manager position, a manager position is going to do exactly the same thing. You have your position doc. You're going to list all the priorities for your position. You're going to prioritize them, and then you're going to have it approved, right? You want to make sure that you have the correct priorities and that you're prioritizing the correct priorities. So if you have 5 priorities and you choose one of the 5 priorities, you check in with the team to make sure you chose the wrong one. If basically you check in with the team and we're like, no, you can't work on that. That's not a priority. You actually chose the wrong priority and you need to choose one of the other 4. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then you say, okay, I won't work on that. Here's another option. Does this sound good? Right?
Yes.
Yeah. And so if your priority is not approved, then you choose another one. If your priority is not approved, you choose another one or change it. Right? But don't come back to the team and say, what do you mean? No, I shouldn't be working on this. I can't work on anything else. Like, just choose another priority until we find one that works. So then the next step is to organize the priority. You want to list the responsibilities and understand it. Okay? Yeah. What are the responsibilities under that priority? You want to get your priority approved in terms of that it's organized. From there, you want to set goals. Goals can exist within a priority or on top of a priority. Goals do not need to be internal to a priority or a responsibility. Goals can be beyond, right? Goals can actually be visions, right? Cool. So setting goals is very important. The problem with goals is that you may not be able to set a goal until you have a priority, or vice versa. You may not know what your priority is until it's a goal, but in that case, your priority is the goal itself, right? So you just want to make sure that you have goals for your top priorities, and you want to get your goal approved. You want to make sure that everyone understands that your goal is correct. So 1 and 2 might happen together, depending, but what is the difference between a goal and a priority? Why are we emphasizing the goal? Like, why don't we just say that, part of organize your priorities having a goal? Why is the goal so much more important than that?
The goal is like, the goal is like the outcome on the priority you are working on. The goal is the end result.
And what does the end result represent?
Pardon?
What does the end result represent? What is the overall goal of everything? What are we doing? We're doing work organizing methods, right? So your goal represents the work. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So your priority doesn't represent work, right? Your responsibilities may or may not represent work, but your goal does represent the actual work that you're aiming to achieve. That's why the goal is so important, because without the goal, you don't actually have work, because you're not actually achieving anything. All right, any questions about the priorities or the goal?
Firstly, I choose my goal as thing I like to do, and on that basis, I choose my priority, right? Is that?
Say again.
I choose my goal as I can. I will have to work on that platform, and on that basis, I choose my priority.
I'm not sure if I totally understand. Does anyone else understand the question? Is it a question or a comment?
Actually, question, is it right or wrong?
What's the question?
Ask again, please.
Okay, I choose my goal, and on that basis, I choose my priority.
So you're typically the way it's going to work is first you'll choose your priorities. So you'll have multiple priorities, and then you're going to be choosing responsibilities. But then you also want to make sure whatever priority you do decide to prioritize, that you make a goal for it. That you have a very, very clear goal. Your goal, Zonad, if we go back up to your check-in, one of your goals is going to be work organizing, your responsibility organized. Like you want to get organized as a worker. That's a goal, right? That's a goal that you have. So every single worker is now going to be required to set goals, right? These will be, basically monthly goals or month and a half goals. Every Mercury session is now the new Global Core Team sessions.
Yes.
And so at the Mercury session, every single worker has to have clear goals set, right? So for you, your first goal is going to be getting organized as a worker with your worker organizing process and your responsibility organizing process, right? And so your priority is to get organized. Your goal.
That's what I actually wanted to say.
Yeah. So say your question again.
That's what I was trying to say actually.
Cool. So yeah, so the answer is yes, you need to set goals and you need to have priorities, and that your goals can be umbrella your priorities, and your priorities can each have a goal. But goals are not necessarily internal to priorities. Goals are more important than priorities, right? So you can have a goal be a priority. A priority can be a goal, but typically a priority is a phrase or a very short categorized term that describes your goal. Okay?
Yeah.
All right. So let's move on. Any other questions about goals or priorities?
Yeah.
Okay, so with your priorities and your goal, you should have a list of what you want to focus on, and you should have an idea of what you're going to accomplish, which is your work, right? So your accomplishment is what the work that you're doing. So then the third part is actually choosing and organizing your responsibilities. When you choose and organize your responsibilities, you want to choose one responsibility. So the first part is to prioritize your responsibilities. And then you're going to choose one. You can only choose one responsibility at a time, and you can only organize one single responsibility at a time. It's simply not possible to do more than one at a time. Thank you. So then after you choose your responsibility, you want to get your responsibility choice approved. What are you working on, right? What responsibility are you going to working on? What is the responsibility called? Right, so let's go over naming and listing a responsibility. Can someone describe how to name a responsibility? So can someone give me the example of a priority?
Payroll verification.
Okay, so priority, I think we just put it in a P, payroll what? Verification?
Yeah.
No, the priority would be payroll. Right, the responsibility would be payroll verification, right? And it might even be a specific, it might be like monthly payroll verification. Okay?
Yeah.
So your priority is the project. You have a project priority of payroll, but your responsibility is payroll verification. Another example of responsibility would be pay and hours spreadsheet update, right?
Yeah.
Update the pay and hours spreadsheet. Okay?
Okay.
So the payroll, this is an example of a priority, and then these are examples of responsibilities. So what is the difference between a priority, which might just be payroll, and the responsibility? How do you name and list the responsibility to make it clear that it's not a priority? Any examples?
Come again, Jay.
The question is how to name and list the responsibility. So if the priority is payroll, how is monthly payroll verification and updating pay and hour spreadsheet different than just payroll? Let's do another example. Let's do recruitment, right? So if the priority is recruitment, what would be an example of a responsibility under recruitment? Right? Maybe it would be like, update the recruitment budget proposal, right? Or help new main buddy teams learn about the main buddy team process. Right? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
the priority is recruitment, but the responsibilities are updating the recruitment budget proposal or help new main buddy teams learn about main buddy team processes, right? So what is the difference?
Recruitment is general. Helping new MBT learn about MBT process is specific responsibility.
Nice. Responsibilities are
recruitment.
specific. Specific. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for very, very specific, clear responsibilities, right? So
Yeah.
another way of putting that is simply that
Pause.
it's pause. Okay. All right. So another way of putting it is that it just needs to describe the work that you're doing. Describe the work you are doing. So responsibility should be descriptory. Payroll doesn't describe dilly squat. The monthly payroll verification, spreadsheet verification, right? Spreadsheet verification is descriptory, right? That describes what you're doing. Updating pay and hour spreadsheet is a description. Updating the recruitment budget proposal, helping new main buddy teams learn. So you're describing the work that you're doing that actually has, usually there's always a verb involved, right? Usually always a verb involved, okay? So you want to be specific, you want to describe the work that you're doing, and there usually always is a verb involved, okay? Once a responsibility name is set, it doesn't change, or if it does, is changed by agreement. Okay, so once we set the name of a responsibility, that name of that responsibility stays the same always, and we create a single responsibility organizing link for that responsibility forever. All right, so do you understand how to choose and name your responsibility and then get it approved? Does everyone understand?
Yeah.
Okay, so then you go through the responsibility organizing process. And I just want to make sure it's clear that all of this first part that we covered, everything here, can happen in less than 5 minutes. It doesn't take time to do all this. It just takes knowledge and understanding of what you're doing. It's not about time. You can do that very, very quickly in less than 5 minutes. You could set your priorities, organize them, understand your responsibility options, choose a responsibility, make sure it's named correctly, get it approved on Skype, all in 5 minutes. Right? Responsibility organizing takes more time. So the responsibility organizing process could take a half an hour. It could take an hour. It could take many hours. It could take days to get your responsibility organized. Okay, so I would just say we need to link the responsibility organizing process. But then eventually when you organize the responsibility, you want to get your responsibility approved. This is going to be having links. Every responsibility needs to have a link to that responsibility organizing link. Plus, we're going to have links inside the responsibility so that you link to all the work that you're doing. You're also going to be listing the goals of the responsibility and the step-by-step instructions for achieving the work. And you don't need to do this by yourself. You do this together. You get help doing that. Okay?
Yeah.
So I'm not going to go through responsibility organizing because everyone should already know that, and we have tons of training videos on that. What we're going through here is the broader context of work organizing and how our priorities in relationship to our goals set up our responsibilities to have clear and organized responsibilities that we choose, and then we do our responsibility organizing. And then we get our responsibilities approved so that we know that the work you're doing is organized. Then after all of that, step 4 is actually to work on the responsibilities. So you do not even start the work until you've been approved for your priority, your responsibility, and that your responsibility is organized, and that we verified that you have the links, the goals, and the steps for responsibility so that you know what you're doing. Otherwise, how are you going to get the work done?
Ping.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
So what is the last step of the worker organizing process? What's the last step? Hello?
Yes, hello.
What is the last step? Step 4, what's the last step?
Verify the work.
No.
You work on the
There
responsibility.
you go. The last part is actually doing the work. So it kind of reverses the idea of everything, right? Because everyone always just wants to go do work and then nothing gets done. Like getting things done have nothing to do with doing work. You guys understand?
Yeah.
Yes.
Getting things done has everything to do with being organized and knowing your goals and what you want to achieve and how you're going to achieve it. That's how you get things done, right? Just working isn't going to get anything done at all, right? You can spend hundreds, if not thousands of hours working on whatever priority or responsibility you want. If you have no idea how to do it, it doesn't matter how many thousands of hours you attempt to complete the responsibility, you're never going to complete it because you aren't working as a team and actually setting up a clear, organized goal to achieve as a team, because we can't do it by ourselves. All right, so basically what I'm trying to say is that let's slow down, get organized, and review and clarify what you're working on with our team and the responsibilities, and we will be much better off. All right?
Yeah.
Are there any questions about the worker organizing methods and processes for getting organized as a worker? And I want to make it clear that this is going to be required, right? If people are not having clear priorities, if people are not organizing their responsibilities with responsibility organizing links and goals, you can't work. Okay? So
Okay.
will there be ever a time where you're working on something without a responsibility link? Sure. Right? But it shouldn't be okay. We should know that we're doing it against the policies. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, oh, I know I just need to get this done. Boom, I get it done, whatever. Not a big deal. If you know how to do it already, that's fine. Right? But it's not about you, and it's not about me, and it's not about even the hard stop, and it's not about the deadline. What it's all about is it's about working together as a team and building a global network where we're all supporting each other. As a team, it is just as important to support Zonad, getting involved and helping train Zonad on how to do the work than to do it ourselves. Because if we don't bring in the new recruits and bring in the new community, train them and engage them, then we're doing a disservice to the organization and to ourselves and to the community and to the world.
30 second stretch.
Cool. So let's just be sure to be supporting the bigger picture, because every time we organize a responsibility, we're not organizing it for ourselves. We're organizing it for the rest of the community and the next person that we're going to train. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So when we come back, let's go over quickly for the position organizing, which is basically exactly the same process. It's just for positions. And then if there's any other questions about manager positions, and hopefully we could spend a little time on some of our communication stuff. All right, 30-second stretch. All right, everyone stretch?
Yes.
Great. All right, so we're on our last leg here. We should be able to get through position organizing in like less than 5 minutes. Maybe spend 5 or 10 minutes on our manager positions. I don't know if people want to do some of the communication coordination, but then we just need to start wrapping up and checking out, and hopefully we'll be done within a half hour, okay? Does anyone need to leave now? Because if you need to leave now, it's fine. You can just check out. We're all doing okay? Okay. So position organizing. Again, the only difference for position organizing is that a single position can have multiple priorities, multiple goals, and multiple responsibilities. That's really the only difference. Other than that, everything else is exactly the same. So when you're organizing to get as a worker, you may have multiple positions plus other priorities that are not positions. But then within your position organizing, you're going to go through all of this over again because your position is going to have a whole bunch of priorities within the position. So that's pretty much the only difference, is that position organizing involves setting a whole nother layer of priorities, each with its own goals and responsibilities listed, and you're managing and overseeing other workers helping do the work. So when you're prioritizing for your position, they may not be priorities that you yourself are going to be involved in. You may be prioritizing the goals of the position itself, right? And you may be prioritizing the work that needs to get done, but that you may not be doing yourself. Okay?
Yeah.
And then you're also most likely going to be overseeing your timelines, deadlines, and the relationship between the different priorities and goals. Because typically there's, only 1 or 2 different goals that the position is overseeing, and then there may be 5 or 6, 10 different responsibilities that relate to a few goals, right? Because you're looking at overall goals rather than sub goals. Are there any other considerations in relationship to the position organizing? What is the #1 top priority for position organizing? What do you create? What is the first thing you create to organize a position? All right, so this is different from a responsibility. What's the difference between a responsibility organizing and position organizing? What's the first thing that you create for a position that you don't necessarily do for a responsibility? Where do you put all of your position organizing information? Lucy?
On the position doc.
On the position doc. So what is the first thing you create to organize a position?
To create the doc.
You create a position doc. What is the policy? Every position has its own doc. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
For responsibilities, they're not required to have their own doc. You can just have a link. Right? So responsibility just needs a link. So you can have many responsibilities within a position doc.
Yes.
All right?
Yeah. Yes.
But every position has its own doc. And then you organize all the information for your position on the doc. All right, anything else about position organizing? And you can learn more about position organizing on your general manager position doc. So let's go through manager positions for 5 or 10 minutes here. Let's just do a round. If you have questions about general managing positions, you have questions about client coordination position, budget positions, co-chair positions, whatever position, let's just do a full round. Let's start with Albina. Albina, do you have any questions on positions?
No.
No questions? Okay, Zealit.
Question on manager position.
On any positions, yeah. So client work coordinator positions, budget manager positions, co-chair position, anything. Any position. Do you have any question on any of your positions? What's required, how to do it, general management positions, any questions? Managing. Albina?
For example, on client work.
Mhm.
Client work position.
Is the question about client managers? What's the question?
Yeah. The question is, okay, for example, now like we picking 2 clients and want to do the manager for both of the clients. Are you supposed to have like a manager? Are you supposed to have one is it position? No. Manager position doc. Is it one? Like, let me say I'm choosing plasma and taxes. Or everything should be separate.
Yeah, so each so basically let's review client manager business. So client managers is the simplest and easiest of all manager positions, right? There's no other position that's easier or simpler than a client manager.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyone can easily take on 5 client manager roles, right? So basically think about it like you're a client manager, right? So client manager is a client manager is a client manager, right? And then you would take on 5 clients. So really, you just have one client manager role that's overseeing or taking on 5 clients. So anyone could easily take on 5 clients. So all you have to do is for each client, make sure that the responsibilities and deadlines are clear, that an invoice is created. That's it. I mean, there's not much else to it. I mean, you're not doing the work. You're just reviewing to make sure the work is created, right? And then report on it.
Okay.
Did the work get done or not? Question, report, done. So client managing is very, very simple. Certain clients may be more complicated than other clients, but overall, especially internal clients, very, very simple. So if someone decides to do one client, that's not going to be very difficult, right? To take on 2 is perfectly fine, right? No one's required to do it. It's a guideline that everyone should do 2 clients, right? For every client, will have its own, every primary client will have its own doc, client doc. Okay? So basically think about clients just like workers. So we do what's called worker onboarding, right? We do client setup. It's pretty much the same thing. Every client is going to have a doc, a work report, right? They're going to have equity towards investment, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's exactly the same. Every client is almost exactly the same as a worker. Okay?
Yeah.
So when you take on a client and you're a client manager, you want to set up your client doc. You want to list the priorities and goals of that client, or start asking questions. You know, what are the different priorities for this client? And then list it on the doc, and over time we'll just organize it. You know, just keep asking questions until it's totally organized. Another key component of all of our work organizing is going to be, you know, what are the next steps to getting organized? Another way to put it is what still hasn't been done to be organized, right? So for example, you still need a link. You haven't clearly established a goal. You're not sure what step 3 is. You only did step 1 and step 2, but what's step 3? You don't know yet. So you write down, okay, we still need to set up step 3. We still need the link to the spreadsheet, right? So that would be another key component of client management, right? What is missing, right? What did not get done? What is still missing, right? You have more questions, more information that you need, right? So that's where you start thinking outside the box and being critical. That's where management actually takes place, is that you have to start thinking about what's missing. Okay?
Yeah. Thank you.
Does that answer your questions?
Yes.
Cool. But again, the most important thing about client management is just creating the doc. And then as a community, we all work on it together. We're all working on it as a team, right? So your role as the manager is just to remind people that we got to get the client work done, right? As long as you're reminding people about the client work, that's more than enough. All right, let's go on to Lucy. It looks like we lost Zilo again. Lucy, questions about any positions?
I have no question.
No questions. Okay. Zonat.
No questions.
No questions. All right. Abdul.
I have no question right now.
No questions. Okay. So, I mean, I would say that if you have no questions, to me, that's implying that you clearly understand everything and you know what you're going to do. So why don't we go through everybody again, but this time let's just say what you're going to be working on, what you're going to do. So let's start with Albina again. Albina, what are your next steps as a manager?
Is it on specific priority or?
Whatever you think you're going to do as a manager. So it could be a specific position and what you're going to do for that position, or it could be client management, whatever you, but let's be specific. What is your next step?
Just a minute, I think about it.
Yeah, take your time, no problem. So just as some examples, this could be, I'm going to work on this position. I already created a position doc. I'm going to list the priorities, and these are the 3 top responsibilities, and these responsibilities are organized, but these ones aren't. So I might, assign someone to work on these responsibilities, blah, 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 right? So it's like, what are you going to do for your manager position to help move?
Okay, like currently I'm doing client work coordination.
Okay, client work.
Created the doc. Okay, the doc was there already, existing doc for client priority. Listed the top primary client work. So the next step is ensure that the primary client work has the doc, the link to the main doc.
No. No. So why would you not want to do that? Why would you not want to ensure that every single primary client has a doc? It's not focused. It doesn't accomplish anything. It's not a goal. Right? One responsibility at a time, one goal at a time, one position at a time. You understand?
Yeah.
So that doesn't help us, right? You could spend hours and hours and hours creating dozens of docs for all of our clients and getting it all started, but you won't complete organizing a single thing. Nothing will be completed. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So then you just waste hours and hours and hours and hours creating all these docs for all these managers that don't exist, and then nothing gets done. So it's much
ensuring that every client work, every client priority has a manager.
That's better, right? So primary client work, and I'm having managers, right? And then the managers can create their docs, right?
Yeah.
But there is something else that I'm looking for. Where is our hard stop link? I know it's here somewhere. Here we go. Super hard stop.
Check the deadline for each client work.
Yes, that's what I'm looking for. Okay, so deadlines for client work. Deadlines for client work. So that is the actual hard stop priority. Okay.
Yeah.
So again, check and review everything with the hard stop priorities to find out what the hard stop priority is, so that we are moving forward as an organization. Because if you go and you know, it's very easy to do ungodly amounts of work. For example, creating a doc for every single client. You could spend hours doing that, yet you won't even move anything forward for the organization in terms of the hard stops. Okay, great.
Yeah.
So, you know, review hard stop priorities. All right, Lucy. Lucy?
Yes.
So, what are your next steps as a manager?
Keep on updating people on substops, responsibilities that are on Halisto. The first thing to get that, I have to update the status and verify it.
Great. So remember to send out the priority spreadsheet. So the super hard stop work priorities doc. So people should be reviewing this. Also, I want to make sure that we list everybody. So right now we just have Lucy, Albina, and Zilu. Let's try to organize this a little bit more. So Albina is working on client coordination. So we're going to add Abdul, we're going to add Zonad, we're going to add Jessica, right? So we can have clearly what people are working on. All right, and then also the soft stop, hard stop priorities spreadsheet is really helpful. It shows what a super soft stop, super hard stop looks like. So we currently have like there's like 15 hard stops. And then over the next couple days and week, we're going to add another 7. Right? So
but you need to remove, like you said, so coordination. Some stuff has stop coordination with the
there are a few that we may be verifying, but we're going to go through that. Like, you know, we'll go through that one by one. Okay. But we're close to, some things are close to being completed. Like we have some 90%, 85% completion, right? So there are some that are getting close. We just need to take it to the finish line. So, the point is that this is what a super hard stop looks like. Ideally, everything will be green in the future. We want everything to be green. Everything's in good status, and we're getting all the work done on time properly. Right now, we are not, and you know, it's okay. It's not the end of the world, but the amazing work that primarily Lucy has done, and then Zilu helped Lucy over the last couple months to organize all of this information with the exact deadlines. This is like, it's like magical. It's so beautiful, and it just we don't have to worry about what to work on. We can just go to this spreadsheet. It'll tell us the exact deadline. It'll tell us exactly what the top priority is at all the time. You know, so just use this information. All the responsibility links are right here. So you just click on the responsibility link. It tells you exactly what to do. Here are the goals already set up for you and the steps. So a lot has already been set up. As we get more and more organized, there'll be less and less responsibility organizing to do, and we'll be starting more on task organizing and other details. But for now, there's still a lot of responsibility organizing that does need to be set up. All right, so let's do a quick pause. Great, and then anything else, Lucy?
Yes.
Yeah.
It has been long doing a tactical coordination for the position. I think it's very much disorganized. I need to start doing responsibility organizing.
Okay,
and
so
making people who are taking the position that seriously, doing a follow-up on position that people assign themselves.
cool. All right, so I mean, this is not a hard stop, but it's still important. And it also is applicable to management team. So, you know, putting a little time here and there is fine on that. But again, focus on hard stop, focus on the soft stop, hard stop coordination, which is related to the tactical management. But I agree that tactical management is going to be one of the things that'll be very important as we recruit new people. You know, so you constantly want to be asking the new people to take on positions as well as the existing people.
Okay.
Anything else, Lucy?
No.
Cool. So always asking people to take on new.
Yeah, and another thing I want to try, even though I said always, and I think I need just to step up and do payroll coordination.
Okay.
I see we have a very major problem.
So
we have no
worker payroll management. All right. Also, I feel like the tactical management may have a role in accountability to managers who are not following through with their roles. So this might be a question for, you know, what policies can we create to hold managers accountable to not following through? So, you know, we don't want to fire them, but at the same time, it's like, you know, what could be a simple process? How could we create incentives to following through, right? Or how could we create problems for people who don't? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on to Zonad. Zonad, do you have any particular positions you want to take on, responsibilities you're interested? Like, obviously, you need to review the hard stop priorities, and also we can show you the list of positions that we have prioritized here. Can you think of anything else?
Actually, not this time.
Well, so are you saying you have no interests?
No. I want to do actually, but at this time, I want to choose some. So, okay, that is. Super team budget.
Cool. So, I mean, if you're interested in budgeting, for example, that would be great. And we'll help you with budgeting. But all you have to do is just tell us what you're interested in, and then we will help you learn that. If you don't tell us what you're interested in, we're just going to ignore you because we're not interested in working with people who don't have any passion or interest in it. Does that make sense? So
Yeah.
it's up to you
I have to choose. Like,
to
I have
get
to choose. Of
engaged.
course, I have to choose. But this time, as I'm not sure about my goal actually, so I think it's taking time. But previously, I chose.
Okay, cool. So just focus on your worker organizing, setting up your priorities. Your priorities need to include, right, choosing your priorities and responsibilities, organizing your priorities and responsibilities, and taking on more work. Okay.
Okay.
And then also you're going to be scheduling. You need to schedule. You may want to schedule, with Abdul. You might want to schedule with other people, but you do need to schedule and actually show up to the buddy teams. That's where the work happens. Okay.
Okay, I want to choose priorities, but it's taking time. I'm gonna input this later, I think.
Yeah. Cool.
Azana, it is taking time because you don't ask questions.
Yes, ask questions.
Actually, maybe, but I'm trying.
Zona is ready for now to get any other responsibility. Maybe for now, as he said, he's not ready for now.
Okay, soft system, hardest coordination.
Cool. All right. So I think we're ready to move on to Abdul, but let's be sure to review questions. I'm not sure if I have the list of questions, but we have lots and lots and lots of questions that you can ask that will help you. Okay.
Okay.
So let's make sure we get those questions clear. But I don't know if now is the right time to go through them because it's time to wrap up. Anyways, go on to Abdul. Abdul?
Yes, I can hear you. Okay, Jay. First of all, my focus is to check in with Albina about my scheduling and priorities that need to be qualified. And then I want to work on priorities like that super team budget. We need to focus on the super team budgets.
Okay. Okay, and if you come to the full moon, we'll be talking about that more.
Okay. And also help to do main body team verification.
Okay, Albina has been working on that. There is some to be done on that. She could train you pretty easily to be able to do the full moon. So after the full moon, there'll be another round of verification for all of the budgets. Okay. I think you're talking about budget verification. Cool. All right. So let's go ahead and move on. Really quickly, a couple questions could be like, which of these 3 responsibilities are the top priority? That's a really good question to ask. Another good question is, I just did X. What is the next step? All right, that's also a good question to ask. Like, what are the next steps moving forward? Also, you can ask, like, where do I find the list of priorities or the list of responsibilities? So if you don't know where to find priorities and responsibilities, that is fine, perfectly fine question to ask, and then you can find them. All right. Cool.
Yes.
So do we want to do an additional 5 to 10 minutes on communications and conflict issues? and going through this, or do you want to just check out right now and wrap up? Otherwise, that's the last thing on our list. Otherwise, we're done.
Yeah, I think
You can just take 10, then go through it.
I think I need to wrap up right now.
Before Abdul, you go. We also have a list of top 10 primary client work. We need each and everyone to pick to manager role.
Okay, Albina, can you say again, please?
I'm saying we have a list of top 10 primary client work. We need managers. So everyone has to pick two.
Yeah,
sure.
Primary client work to
Okay.
manage.
Yeah, this is going to be a guideline. Can you link the list of the client work priorities? Client work priorities?
Okay.
Cool. All right. So, Abdul, if you need to go now, that's fine. So, Lucy and Albina, do you want to stay longer?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So let's stay longer. Abdul, you can, if you need to leave now, you can check out.
Okay, yeah.
I was really also requesting if you want them to take me through staff system a bit. If you have time.
Well, I mean, if you had questions about the staff systems, you can go ahead and ask those, and we can add them here to the positions. But we don't have a lot of time, so let's if we want to do that before the issues real quick, we can. But let's let Abdul check out. Abdul needs to go.
Okay.
And I don't know if staff systems is a super hard stop. I don't think it's on the hard stop. So actually, I don't think we should be spending extra time on something that's just not even a hard stop. Right? Is it a hard stop? I don't think so. Oh, because client work, right? You're talking about client work.
No, but it's the client one.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, that is related to hard stop. Abdul, you can check out?
Yeah, okay. I rated this session 7.5, and it was a great session, I think, and I learned here so much things as a management position of this community, and I really like these sessions. I'm happy to join here in this today's sessions.
Great, and I think you already covered more or less what you're going to be working on. You said that you're going to be talking with Albina and going over your qualification as a worker, and then you're going to choose some priorities, including super team budget and your main buddy team budget verification.
Yeah.
Anything else you wanted to add?
Actually, not now. I'll choose later, I think.
Okay. Thank you, Abdul. And Zonad, did you are you gonna stay with me and Albina and Lucy?
Actually, I need to wrap up. It's important for me too.
And if you need to go, you should check out now.
Yeah. I'm feeling like 8 today.
No. This should be in the checkout. It's not how you feel. It's how you're evaluating the session and how the session went.
How the session went. Actually, I think it's very good today because I know. Recently, I started seriously, but it's very usual that firstly it will be complicated for me. So I take it granted, but I'm trying very hard and promising for the next time. That's why I think it's gonna be very good for me. So I think it's good start for me again. That's why I'm happy today.
Great. So did you want to give a number between 0 and 9 for the session?
Okay. It's 8 today.
Okay, session was 8. All right. So then in the context of your next steps, what are you going to be doing? Let's see if we had anything here for you. So you're going to be choosing your priorities and responsibilities, scheduling with Abdul, organizing
Yes.
your priorities and responsibilities, right? Is there anything else you're going to be doing?
Yes. Yes.
Is there anything else that you're going to be doing?
No, nothing. Nothing.
Nothing. Okay, well, hopefully you'll find other things to do because you should be doing more things. Maybe doing some training videos. Just talk to Abdul, get help, ask lots of questions, right?
Yes. Yes.
What can I do to learn more? Awesome. All right.
Okay, thank you.
So me and
Thank you.
Albina and Lucy are going to move on. So we have, so we want to just do a quick round on the communications, and then we'll continue that over time. But Lucy, you said you first had a few questions about the staff systems, staff super systems client. So,
Lucy, you are on mute.
So Lucy.
Oh, sorry. What are the
So
priorities and responsibilities for staff system when someone wants to work on the staff system?
So that's a great question. I feel like the first thing is obviously you're going to want to create a client doc. We may already have a staff systems doc. May already have a staff systems doc. I can't remember. And then we're going to want to create a verification spreadsheet, create or find verification spreadsheet. And then we need to verify that each level of the staff system, so there's 6 components, right? That each one is verified to be completed. So, you know, of the 6, obviously right now I'm spending the most on recruitment and getting all the recruitment systems set up. But all 6 of them need to be set up correctly. We put a lot of time into updating our payroll systems. We put a lot of time into updating our budget systems. We put some time into updating some of the onboarding techniques, but we didn't finish that. So that's the main thing, is really just verifying it, right? So are we at 25%? Are we at 15%? Are we at 100%? So mainly it's management, right? So mainly management role. From there, the end goal is making sure it all comes together and is linked together for self-resilient systems. So this is the hardest part, but the overall end goal is that it's all linked together. So it's not enough to just say that, you know, all 6 components are verified and complete. There's a whole nother level, which is the super system itself. So this is the super system, is that all 6 systems are linked together and interconnected. Okay? So it's kind of like a 7th. It's like a 7th layer. Like, to what degree is it all interconnected? Because once it's all interconnected, it should flow between all the systems and it should all feed off itself and be fully self-functioning and self-resilient. And it's all going to, the centerpiece to the super system is recruitment. So it's all going to come from recruitment, because that's where the new people come in and that's where we start the training. So the way that we think about it is like, okay, everyone who was involved in the past basically got the wrong training. So we're redoing the entire recruitment input. People get involved and they have a whole new experience of onboarding, a whole new experience of initial training. So then it will transform and change the trajectory of their involvement as they get involved in the work that they do. So we want to really focus on the recruitment and the new recruits and training them in the new system so that everything flows from that. Okay?
Okay. Where can I get these 6 components?
There should be a staff systems doc. I mean, I've already done training with you on this, so there's supposed to be a staff systems doc. It should be under systems and processes. Let's see. So if we go to systems and processes doc, budget staff systems doc right here.
Yes, there can see system.
Okay, so let me link that here. So again, the staff systems doc. Staff super system.
Is the staff system doc different from client doc? that you put there need to be created.
Yes. Yes, because the staff systems doc will always exist, whereas the client doc is only for the setup. Okay?
Okay.
So the client doc is really tracking the verification and the implementation of the staff systems, and then eventually the client will go away, but we still will have the staff systems functioning after the client is gone. And then it's also good to note that totally separate from staff super system is the MBE and Plasmo staffing, right? And that's the decision-making body staffing and the body staffing, right? So it's just totally different, right? But they're related. Okay?
Okay. Yeah.
Let me see. So there's, I think there's like 20 different types of systems that all need to be functioning and interconnected. But we narrow down those 20 systems into 6. So we have recruitment, budget, onboarding and scheduling, assignments and worker coordination, and training, questions, and team development and payroll. Yeah. So if we can get all of these have to be soft, hard stop, and if we can get all of them self-resilient and self-functioning, so that every single worker is trained on recruitment, budget, onboarding, assignments, training, and payroll, that everybody knows how to do all 6 of those, right? Then everything should function much more fluid in a way where we as leadership can step out of the busy work, because all of this should happen based on both volunteers and new recruits. Cool. All right. And then we started going over all of it. I mean, we got a ton of it done. It's not totally complete. Obviously, you can see onboarding. Onboarding did not get enough. So onboarding is obviously a big question, but onboarding is not as important because we haven't even done our recruitment yet. So right now I'm primarily focusing on recruitment, and then from the recruitment we'll go into the onboarding.
Yeah.
Cool. But again, none of this really directly applies to the MBE staffing and the decision-making body staffing, which is just as important, if not more important, and has to do with self-resiliency as well. Okay? Cool. Any other questions? So we skipped our break. Do we want to take our break and then keep going, or do we want to finish up? I think we're almost done. We can just keep going.
Yeah, let's just continue.
Well, a quick question. Can we also create a priority doc for that?
A priority doc for what?
For staff system.
So again, let's call it the staff super systems.
Okay.
Because we also have the decision-making body staffing. So body staffing. So what was the question again? Do we want to create a what?
Yeah, I was asking if we are supposed to create a priority doc for staff system. But you said you can be super team system. Maybe you can use that.
Staff, I'm confused. So the staff super systems doc already exists, and then there'll be a client staff super systems doc. Okay.
Okay.
And that's that. The body staffing and accountability is totally separate. So what do you ask? Are you asking about that, or in each body staffing?
I was asking about the priority doc for staff system. If we are supposed to create
again, the priorities, the project doc for staff super systems is going to be systems doc, the processes and systems doc, and then also we have the self-resiliency doc for the project, right? Project doc. So we already have a super staff systems doc. We don't need another doc. Okay.
Okay.
Cool. All right. So let's just finish up here. Albina, did you have any other questions on anything?
No.
Okay, so what I wanted to ask us to do would be just do one quick round. Oh, wait, here, let's put this up here. I was thinking about doing one quick round on the communications issues. And so we would each just say what we need to say. Maybe we'll do a second round if we have time or need to get into it. Otherwise, then we'll just wrap up and check out. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Okay. So do you want me to start, or Lucy, Albina, do you want to start?
You can start.
All right. So let's see here. So I mean, obviously, I'm very interested in understanding this concept of, you know, fear. I mean, part of me feels like maybe it's just an excuse. Like, I mean, I just see everything crumbling and falling apart, and like, you know, just barely trying to hold it all together. And so there is frustration. There is, you know, a lot of issues, especially when, you know, one of our biggest problems is money, and then, you know, Bitcoin keeps going down, 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 and you know, losing all that other money. So it's very frustrating. It's very, you know, problematic. But it's also just the reality of the situation. So we need to make sure that we're creating safe space where people can address issues and then also discuss things, you know, so that people are comfortable asking questions. Like, that, if we can't make sure people can ask questions, then there's a bigger problem going on. Also, I feel that the recruitment issue is like core to me, right? Like for me, there's just some thing where I just don't understand it. I mean, I put hundreds and hundreds of hours into organizing and working on recruitment over the last like 8 months. And I feel like I'm by myself, that nobody else is really stepping up to do it. I mean, maybe Zilu has put in like an hour or two or something like that, and he's getting more involved, but he hasn't really stepped up, if you know what I mean. And then the only other person at all is Wahoo. And we know how that goes. So, you know, Wahoo hopefully will step up more, but I'm still trying to train her a lot on just like basic processes for organizing and you know, like what we went over today. So hopefully people will watch these videos that we created today, including Wahoo, and learn how to get more organized. So I'm very confident that over the next 3 or 4 months with our recruitment that it will improve. But part of me feels like there is an underlying, you know, energy where, you know, both of you are not particularly interested in recruiting people, which I think is a huge detriment to the organization and the community. I feel like that it's not about ourselves. Like, if all we do is focus ourselves and getting the best for ourselves, that we're missing the whole point of the work that we're doing. Like, we need people to just step up to get all the work done, including recruitment. So anyways, that for me is an issue. I think also there is an issue related to Andromeda and Cobalt schedule. I've been stepping back from some of that, and I feel like we need more clarity on level 4 buddy teams, and that we need a clear schedule and structure. I think it's fine if people want to schedule for Andromeda sessions. But my involvement in Andromeda sessions should be somewhat reduced, and I'm more interested in focusing on Cobalt. And I'm down to do Andromeda sometimes, but you know, it almost feels like there's an expectation that I'm always supposed to be there or be available, when sometimes I'm just not, or shouldn't be available as much. But anyways, that is some of the main issues for me. I feel if we can just get organized, we can have clarity on responsibilities, and if we can just communicate on Skype ahead of time with what responsibilities and work that we're doing, that a lot of the frustration and the back and forth should go away on that side of things. But I agree that, you know, overall, all these ridiculous layers and layers of policies can be very silly and can be, you know, dysfunctional at times, especially when there's confusion. But, you know, something has to change. I mean, the work obviously isn't getting done, and we are just losing more and more money. And it's just like we have to try things that are going to keep us organized and keep us focused. So I know it's hard, but something just we just have to keep pushing forward and make changes. And changing is not easy. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. But I'm very, very, you know, grateful and extremely impressed in all the work that you both of you are doing, and others, of course. You know, the work that you do is incredible. You know, it doesn't mean that it's like perfect. You know, no one's doing perfect work, and no one here has the skills or the resources that we need to grow a global network and organization. I mean, the fact that we've been trying to do this with the minimal resources, time, and people we have is really a joke. I mean, most people look at what we're doing and just laugh, right? And they're like, "What? Why are you guys wasting your time doing that? You know, like, why are you even trying to do that? No one cares, right?" So the fact that we're here at all is unbelievable. And if we're successful, we should be rewarded significantly. You know, if we can raise millions of dollars and be successful and grow a global organization that can transform, you know, certain aspects of our society, I feel like we should be rewarded, and it's a great investment. So getting through some of the hard times is part of that investment in the future, and hopefully we all will be successful. We were really close, you know, earlier this year when Bitcoin had, you know, went up by 20 times, and we were sitting on a pile of cash. You know, if Bitcoin had stabilized or kept going up or whatever, we would be soaring high right now, right? But, you know, all of that value and the money is gone, and we lost a lot of our clients, and everything fell apart. So, you know, it sucks, but it is what it is. You know, and I'm confident that it'll turn around and we'll get new clients, and that the value will go up, and that we'll have more value than ever before, and that we'll do even better than we were before. So yes, check. Who wants to go next? Albina, Lucy?
Albina.
Okay, Albina.
Okay. I'll just talk about, okay, actually from today, today I learned something. You know, sometimes when we want to work, we say, I'm prioritizing on something, let me say like calendar and scheduling. So we think now the priority is still the same as responsibility. That is how we get confused maybe. Sometimes, okay, we know the real responsibility, but we are not stating it clearly. That is how we have frustration also in the chats and communication. But basically for me, like today, I now understand when I come, I know what is the priority and what is the specific responsibility I'm going to work on. So that is, I think that is what confusion comes in terms of what we are going to work on. Another thing is on recruitment, you said that both of us are not willing to do. You know, now when we had the independent team, that is how now for me, I just said now we focus on other things, other work, so that we give them a chance to do. But I'm still willing to step up and do the recruitment where necessary, so that we get the right people to help us. Because the organization is not currently doing well, 3 people cannot work alone and make things move forward.
I think we have 4. I think we have 4 people. Let's see that.
Yeah, 4 people, yeah. So we are behind in everything. So we just need people who are willing to work. And also improve on our communication. I think that's it.
Thank you, Albina. Lucy?
For me, I don't have any. But I will just begin with the communication. What I usually feel bad when, for me, I don't really like chatting so much. And I'm not good enough in chatting. But sometimes you need to, before you answer someone, you either prefer you assume that person instead of answering that. What I usually fear from you when I ask the question, you come with like a very very long message. It really confused me, and when you say some other words, I do get hurt very easily. You understand because you don't understand maybe why that person is having those emotions, because when you are having another pressure where you are having pressure all over. So when you get the job and you also get like you ask the question, you respond it like negatively sometimes, and already you have another stress. It's going to be worse than the whole of situation. For me, really, like sometimes I'm so stressful. I don't have one single day that I'm just sleeping like a normal person because of my situation that I undergo. When you really answer me in that wrong way, I feel like, oh my goodness, should I have to even leave this world and just do anything nasty that can get me out of this world? You have a scenario here, you go and ask and you get another issue. What I just need from you, can you kindly improve in communication, especially when you answer someone who want to know any specific responsibility? I maybe ask in a wrong way. Can you maybe give that person to state, like before I was to come and say what I'm working on. Before that, you state this and this. I'm becoming confused. And another thing, when somebody asks you a question, you start saying, you should not be here. We need to do a recruitment. People who need to communicate. It's good to do a recruitment. Well and good to get people who can communicate. When you say that's like you already also undermine that person. You feel like that person not doing anything. I remember you said a few months ago we will create the budget for those who they don't communicate well. I think if indeed you don't like someone, maybe you need to do the recruitment. For me, I prefer just do it silently. Don't say that we need to recruit people. You just no need of you being here. Those words do hurt me so much. I don't have a peace of mind at all. Let me tell you for free. I'm very much fearful. Even if I know something I want to ask you, I'm not freely to ask you the question that I have because I feel like the next thing, boom, I'll be stressed. And already stress I have, I don't want to die very soon because of all the issues that I'm having. Regarding the recruitment, I'm willing to do the recruitment. But if I focus on recruitment, there is no need for me to go to say that I'm going to do the recruitment. By the end of the day, I'm not going to focus on that. That is why I'm willing, but I don't get that time that I can get involved on recruitment. The only part that I can get on recruitment is when you already get the members who need training. I'm very much willing to do that on the part of training, onboarding them, I can do that. But doing this other stuff, we have a lot to do as an organization. We don't have many people that can get involved. To getting this whole budget, all things at least to move on every month, it's not easy thing. We have to get committed so that these other things are being taken care of. That's why we at least feel like if we have a recruitment commission and people who are willing to do the recruitment commission, that's good. Instead of all of us going to do that, there is no need saying I'm going to do it. I'm not going to get involved. That's the big issue. At least I say I'm going to focus on that, and then I step up. If I'm saying I'm going to focus on that, by the end of the day, no. By the end of the month, nothing. It's good that sometimes You just have to leave that opportunity to the other members to do the recruitment, so we can do other part. On training, we can do that. If we have many people like before, we can do it. But now we are 4. What next should we do? Yes, also regarding the responsibilities, organizing, and all this stuff. Sometimes you find someone look like it is the first day joining FQM. That doesn't mean that that person does not know the responsibilities. Maybe there is something you ask the question, and then maybe I did not get it well. That's why we most of the time have misunderstanding. Which recruitment, where is the responsibility of organizing? What is the responsibility you are working on? When indeed that person send what is working on after the work, you will see exactly what was working on. The very a priority thing, a very meaningful responsibility that need to get done. The thing is getting maybe in a good way. You know, not everyone is good at communicating. Like me, I'm very much poor in English. I'm trying all my level best, at least to see if I can communicate. That is all that I can say. And I will try my level best to do what I can. But what I cannot do, it's well and good. But just avoid the word. Just get.
Okay.
If you have been an African person, that's what African person cannot say all that. The African person will just wait until then and then tell you, you know what, I'm tired of. You're not going to get involved anymore. Can you please get yourself someone? That's how we operate. Things are very much. We try to cope up with rules for outside and different from ours. Because the way we work is very different. Like taking the responsibilities is very different from ours. Ours, if you are given that, like if I'm given to do something like 2 responsibilities as a manager, as I'm work, I have to make sure that work is done and deliver before I get paid. But here is very much different. You have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this. You do payroll, the same person, do the budgeting, the same person, do the responsibility. Do the software related or any other responsibility. It is very much confusing. If somebody can focus, if it is taxes, you just do taxes. You don't have to get confused. Anything that about taxes, it is your responsibility. Anything mess up from there, it is you who is going to be responsible. Anyone need to get done there, it is your effort that is specialized. You have to learn until you like specialize on that area. Then you are going to move forward. This issue, this taking this and this, you are going to get confused and more confused. Also coming up with more policies. Also, it's going on. It's here and more. Please let me Thank you.
I'll have to get my driver's license too. Okay, well, thanks. Huh? Yeah, I need like 10 more minutes. Thank you, Lucy. That is very informative. I feel like this is still a beginning of this process, and that this is really there's not much that's more important than this. Like, we got to get our budget out of the way. We got to like just have our basic systems in place. But other than that, this process of communicating on a deeper level about how we feel, this is the foundation to all organizing. And this is the foundation of human relationships and understanding. So it's really helpful to hear all this from you, Lucy, as well as you, Albina. I do agree overall that, well, one of the things that's obviously true is we're all very stressed, right? Definitely, Lucy, you're extremely stressed in your just daily life and like all the things that you're doing for your life. During our quarter moons, we should put more effort into our support alliance and discussing wellness and stress and all that stuff. In my life, I'm very stressed and have just a whole different perspective and life experience, but it's obviously, plenty of stress and it's overwhelming. And And so how to build a communication environment that is both respectful and then also understanding and engaging of the stress level, that is the part that's the hardest part to deal with. So I thank you for being willing to deal with this and help move it all forward. I feel like, you know, Bina's right. We did have a lot of clarity today on how we can organize things and make it as clear and specific as possible when we're communicating. And I also feel like, you know, once we get through this recruitment round, the recruitment commission should start becoming functional. It's still going to take a few more months though, but eventually the goal is that the recruitment commission will be self-functioning and we don't need to worry about the recruitment. But I guess my request through this process of the hard stop and the recruitment is that, you know, you both just simply need to think about what I'm going through as well, you know, and that I need to be able to focus on the recruitment, you know. So if you're not going to work on recruitment, somehow, some way, both of you need to not just do your work, you also need to create space and support me to focus on recruitment. Because if I'm always focused on helping you guys all with your work, I can't focus on the recruitment, right? So there needs to be a balance there. And I feel like recruitment is moving forward. It's not, you know, ideal, but, you know, we're going to skip a lot of the recruitment steps, but we're going to move it forward because we have the hard stop coming up January 1st. So we don't have a lot more time on the recruitment. But anyways, I'll do my best. Let's just keep addressing the issues. We'll keep bringing these things up. But I'm very thankful for you, you know, stating your concerns, and I will remember that. Check. Albina, anything else?
Just a question now. Now what is okay? How many people are willing on recruitment so far? How many people do we have?
For what?
Or what is the next step?
So right now with recruitment, we're skipping a bunch of steps. So we have about 100 people who have applied. We're probably going to invite somewhere between 25 and 50 of them to the third stage, which is where people start creating main buddy teams. And that should start within the next few days between now and the Global Recruitment Commission meeting, which is at the Lunar Perigee on the 24th of December. So that's the next step, is just getting, and then once the main buddy teams start getting created, then we'll be getting our budgets, and the budget will be main buddy team. So we'll have this main buddy team, that main buddy team, and then they will be proposing into the budget. And all their times will start at, like, you know, 5 hours or something like that. So they'll be pretty small per person.
Do they have the separate budget, or we are going to use the same budget we have?
It'll be like a recruitment commission budget in context. Like we'll have a Jello team, but I think really recruitment budget will be under Jello, right? But it's all part of the same global core team budget. When we do our accounting, we're going to take all our funds for all the accounting. We're going to divide it by the number of months that we have, and then that's going to be our budget. As far as I know, our budget is very small. It's like 2,000, maybe 2,500 bucks. I don't even know. Until we do the accounting, we don't even know how much money we actually have. Whatever amount of money we have to fit all of the money into it. So we have to fit the old world team, the new world team, the Jello team, and the recruitment, the new recruits, all need to fit into one budget. So the simple answer is no. The new recruits are not going to directly affect the existing old world and new world budgets. But the long-term answer is yes, it's all the same budget, right? Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Now, out of those people, how many are volunteers?
I think we have, we definitely have one volunteer who's already engaged named Charles, along with Wahoos. That's 2. And then there might be another 1 or 2 people who have expressed interest in volunteering. So I would say between 3 and 4.
Okay.
So of the 25 to 50 people we're considering, there's 3 or 4 potential equity only / volunteers.
Okay, so if Lucy and I say now we want to prioritize on payroll, what is the first step to go about it? Are we going to be part of the independent team, or we are just going to do as normal workers? And how is it going to affect the independent team?
There's 4 recruitment sub-teams to the recruitment commission, right? There's only one super team. The super team is the recruitment commission. And under the recruitment commission, the super team, there's 4 sub-teams. There's the independent team. There's the existing active budgeted workers, which would be us, and Zilu is our representative. And then there's going to be 2 additional teams. The second team will be with the next round of recruits. So the brand new recruits that we bring in from the first round of recruitment will become their own team. They will basically only focus on recruitment, although we can pluck them out, especially the good ones, and get them involved in super hard stop and things like that if we feel like they can help us, right? Then we'll do it. That they will be responsible for helping with the full round of recruitment. After that entire full round of recruitment, they will become the training team, which will train the new recruits how to do recruitment. So basically, once that is completed, there'll be 4 sub-teams. There'll be the independent recruitment team, the first round of recruitments, the training of the new recruits, and then there's the active, budgeted, normal workers, right? So there's who are focused on recruitment. So there's 4 sub-teams. So if you or Lucy got involved in recruitment, you would be in the same sub-team as Zilu, right? When you guys are already there, when you're already on the recruitment, you guys just aren't focused on the recruitment, Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, the independent recruitment team are a bunch of people who have no training, have not ever been involved. There's like 5 of them. There's Mike, Charles, someone with the name starts with a T. I can't remember their name. Wahoo, right? And then there's me and Zilu. And then there's me and Zilu. So there's like 5 of them, and then me and Zilu, and we, don't really have a lot of time because we're so busy with the hard stop, and they don't know what they're doing, right? So it's like there's not much that we can do. Like, it's going to take 2 or 3 rounds of recruitment before the recruitment commission is self-functioning. Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Anything else, Albina?
No.
Okay, Lucy, anything else you want to add, Lucy?
Yeah, what are the exact things that you need help from us so that you can focus on recruitment? At least we need to know specifically.
In terms of me being able to focus on recruitment?
Yeah, you said you need
responsibility. Yeah.
I mean, the most important thing is like, let's say you come during an Andromeda session. Sometimes I'm scared to jump on the Hangout because I feel the moment I get on the Hangout, you guys are going to want to ask lots of questions and get focused on, who knows which responsibility. And then it's like a rabbit hole. And it's just like, there's so many endless things and you guys need a lot of help. A lot of time it's like training and helping you guys learn how to do it. So then I have no time to focus on the recruitment. And sometimes even when I don't get on the Hangout and even just the Skype, it's just so overwhelming. Look at this line, check out that line, review this line. It's just like, it just never stops, right? So it's like, at some point, all of us need to be like, okay, Jay needs, 45 minutes to work on recruitment. Like it has to happen, right? I need time to be able to focus on recruitment. Otherwise, it's never going to get done. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that recruitment is a higher priority than the other work that you're doing, because it's not. I mean, we're all of it's hard stops. So you still need to be asking questions, and I still want to help you and get on Hangout and support all the work that you guys are doing. But we also just need to find time to, be like, okay, well, what does Jay need help doing? Not just what does Albina and Lucy need help doing, right? It just needs to be balanced.
Yes, but sometimes responsibility like some stuff, hard stuff coordination. It's a must. I have to Skype you. I have to say, can you verify on this line, or you just have to say the day that maybe you need to set time that you this Tuesday after this I'm not going to answer any Skype messages, and from this to this I'll be available for any Skype messages. That will be so helpful to us.
Okay, I mean we can try to do it, but I mean, you know, I only have time for maybe like 1 or 2 days a week to put onto recruitment. I mean, I don't put that much time into recruitment because I just don't have time for it, right? So in that context, it's like, you know, let's work together, right? Let's like all three of us find a time for me to be able to focus on recruitment like 1 day a week. I mean, it shouldn't take much more than that, okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
That will be helpful so that we will know exact day. Today we don't disturb J's, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, recruitment's not the only thing that I need help focusing on. There are lots and lots and lots of other things that need to be happening. But I feel like we can do that together, especially if we can get over this hump and then be able to create space for more executive team and executive priorities and executive virtual assistant work, because like that's where we fall apart, especially in relationship to our finances and all of our money organizing. It's just it's you know, we're still a mess from January. I mean, we've never recovered from just being able to organize all of the finances from that time period, you know. So anyways, let's move on and go ahead and check out. Are we ready? Is there anything else?
No.
Okay, so but I do feel like we did find some potential solutions, and then also we may have addressed a couple other issues, but I think we're good for moving on. So let's go ahead and wrap up and check out. Is there anything in wrap up that we need to address, or we got the full moon? So let's just, I think we're fine. So just remember to do reminders for the full moon, and then we'll move forward at the full moon, okay?
Yeah, we got full moon today, which is tomorrow for you.
Right. So it's happening real soon. All right, so who wants to check out first?
I'll check out. I will give the session 6.5 because I really learned a lot, especially on worker. I said worker organizing and responsibility. You know, before was like worker and responsibility organizing. I thought it's the same thing, not different. But at least I learned. I'll have my own time to go through so that I can understand more instead of just hearing from you and leave it there. I'm going to focus on the staff system, learning more also on worker organizing and responsibility organizing. Sub-staff staff coordination. A few of tactical coordination, a few of them I can do. Maybe like just 30 minutes per day or something like that. I can try that. And also, new structure, client and transition. I'm just still trying to do that. And no, I just have to thank you, Jay, for all your time. You always hear us, you listen to us, and sometimes not easy. But you create your time to at least have your ears. You listen to all our views. Thank you so much, man. May God bless you.
Oh, well, thank you. Yes, listening is key to solving global problems. I don't see how else we're supposed to do it. Most of the people I work locally here in San Francisco Bay Area, I mean, this is like Silicon Valley, and everyone's tech, and it's all about how are you going to create the perfect algorithm, you know, and set up the perfect AI to solve all our problems for us. And I'm just like, I don't know. Is that really going to solve all of our problems to just like write a computer program that then we don't have to do anything ourselves? We have to listen to each other. We don't have to actually communicate and work through our problems. I don't agree. You know, I'm not against computer programs being part of the solution. I just don't feel like it's the entire solution, you know? So, and there's just not, I don't know anyone else working on what we are doing, like creating this whole new global infrastructure based on natural time cycles where we create a level of holarchy where there's space and time to work together as a global network. It's just unheard of, you know? So I do feel like this can help. This is definitely not going to solve all of our problems. This is just one puzzle piece, right? It's like one puzzle piece in the global, you know, patchwork to fix all of our issues that we have together. I don't know. No one's taking notes on this? All right, I'm checking out here. I'm checking out. I give this session a 6.75. I do feel it was a good session. I always enjoy the seasonal sessions. I feel like this is probably the best seasonal session ever. Primarily because we're focusing on the management. I also think it's one of the best management sessions ever. Maybe because it's now on the seasonal session. Maybe the Mercury sessions were just too often and we just really didn't get deep into it. So I really feel like this was a much more holistic, you know, in-depth management session. So that was really good. As far as moving forward, like obviously I'll be working on recruitment. I'll be working on the budgeting and the finances and the hard stop and the super hard stop and the uber hard stop and all the different priorities and worker coordination. And it's pretty endless. So in the client work, lots of client work. Yeah, check. Albina.
Yeah, for me, the session was good. I give it 7. Thank you, Jay, for your time. Actually, you just took us through everything talked for 3 hours. I appreciate that. You're really trying to help us.
I have here 4 hours.
Yeah, actually 4 hours.
Okay, 4 hours.
Thank you so much. It was our midnight. Now we are already in Saturday. So we thank for your time. I'm going to focus on client work coordination, supporting budget to ensure that we complete on worker involvement verification, and also global invoice tabulation. We are on step 3, but at least we know the amount we have for the next month budget. You know, every month our tabulation is going down every month because of less involvement in client work. Even in weekly check-ins, we are just having 100% hard stop, which is not good on our side. So we just also need to focus on client work as much as we are trying to end the hard stops. And maybe in January, towards the end, I will take maternity leave. So I'll just communicate. I'm still trying to work. Thank you.
Well, all right, so I think we are officially done. I'm just doing a few last updates to our network equity. So it looks like we had equivalent of 1,803 hours for the seasonal session, which is pretty incredible and exciting. So that is a lot. And it comes out to 350 to 365 hours for the 3 of us. And then everyone else is like 220 to 250 hours. So that is pretty cool. So we do need to add the normal hours in here. And this becomes 93% of the week at this point and 80% of the 2 weeks. So it's a very significant session and does really set the foundation to the whole next quarter and season. We're going into winter.
Yeah. For you, you have these seasons. For us, not that much.
Yeah, well, it's still the this would be the, I believe it's the southern solstice. So this is the moment when the South Pole is closest to the sun. So we call it the southern solstice, and then the northern solstice is during is when the North Pole is closest to the sun. So you know, regardless of whatever season, because everyone has different seasons and different experiences of seasons, it is still, there's still 4 very specific global points of time in relationship to the sun and the earth. So it's still good to track our seasons, and that's good for our management. So yeah, I think we're done. So I'll talk to you all later. You have a good day.
Okay.
Okay. Bye bye.
Good.